Hello. Welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 4SF 076 Odonin Trio. The group is destroyed. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Toss was holding the broken arm at this moment, and kept shrinking back. Damn it. You actually have such power. Naruto looked at Toss, gritted his teeth and said, "What does Orochimaru have to do with you?" Shin was also frightened by Sasuke's power, she said tremblingly. Master Orochimaru's order was just to kill you, but he didn't expect to plant a curse mark on Sasuke in advance. Damn it. Toss wrapped his broken arm with clothes, stood up, and cold sweat appeared on his face. But no matter what, Master Orochimaru said that he wants to kill you. Thump. His legs went limp, and he knelt on the ground on one knee, trembling all over. This guy Zack is already dead. We probably won't be able to advance to the third round of assessment. Now we will kill you no matter what. He still endured the pain, raised his head, and stared at Sasuke. Sasuke, even if I, Toss, try my best, not to avenge Sasuke, but to complete the task of Dao-2 Snake Pill. Having said that, Toss gauntlets have been directly blown by Sasuke, and Toss, who is a sound ninja, really has no special strength. Hehe. Sasuke directly lifted Toss up. You are the ones who beat Naruto like this. Do I want to avenge Naruto too? Toss knew that he didn't have the ability to struggle in front of Sasuke, who was sealed by the awakening spell, so he reluctantly turned his head and looked at Shin. Run. As soon as the words fell, Sasuke directly punched Vance hard. Toss snorted, his chest sank directly, and he was hit hard on the ground. Boom. Shin is like this, watching Toss's sternum broken, lying on the ground, only exhaling but not inhaling. She gritted her teeth fiercely, then turned around and fled away. Advertisement. In front of Sasuke in the first form of the spell seal, the current Shin has almost no ability to fight. Toss is already certain to die, and now she has no chance of winning. Want to go? Sasuke laughed sinisterly, and the chakra on his body spread out again. Seeing Sasuke who was about to attack Shin, Toss made up his mind. Master Orochimaru. Toss gritted his teeth, and a shuriken suddenly appeared in his hand. Exhausting his last strength, he nailed directly towards Sasuke's neck. This seemingly swift shuriken was easily held by Sasuke with 2 fingers. In front of Sasuke with Sharingan, this level of attack has no effect at all. Die, bastard. Sasuke roared hoarsely, and put his hands into Toss's chest. Toss' eyes widened, and then he only heard the sound of his body and bones being torn apart. Sizzle. His whole body was directly torn in two by Sasuke. Blood was flowing. Sasuke sneered, and turned to look at Shin, who was about to run away. Just as he was about to take a step, he suddenly trembled. Okay. So uncomfortable. Sasuke gritted his teeth, trembling all over, and fell to the ground with a plop. At this moment, the curse seal on his body emitted a bright red light, and then gradually retracted into his body. Advertisement. Sasuke, how are you doing? Naruto hastily picked up Sasuke. Sasuke curled up in Naruto's arms, screaming. Looking at Sasuke, who fell on the ground and several corpses on the ground, Naruto felt helpless for the first time. Boss, when will you come back? Naruto touched the wound and spit out a mouthful of blood again. Miss me. Naruto turned his head and saw that Ye Shenyue dragged a wild boar the size of a house and walked beside him. Ye Shenyue was also taken aback when he saw clearly the scars on Naruto's body and the dead sack and Toss on the ground. What the hell? Is this Sasuke so awesome? He actually killed 2 members of the Odonin trio. He said to Naruto, light the fire and let's have a good meal. Replenish you both. Sasuke has just awakened the curse seal, and he has overdrawn his body a lot, and he is probably very weak now. In any case, it is still necessary to let them have a good meal now. Naruto nodded, and when he lit the fire, he remembered the cold and evil chakra that Sasuke exuded just now, and couldn't help but feel a little worried. Is that really Sasuke? The other side of the forest. Shin lay on the ground panting heavily, and now she didn't know how far she had run. But now, it seems to be able to take a breather. In front of him, a person slowly emerged from the ground. Advertisement. Master Orochimaru. Koto's voice trembled a little. Sasuke's curse mark is terrible. I know, Sasuke succeeded. The probability is 1 in 10, that's not bad. Orochimaru sneered. However, it still makes me a little sad that you abandoned your companion and ran away like this. Shin, just be obedient, be my sacrifice. Shin was taken aback for a moment, but before she could react, she saw her tilted and fell to the ground. At this moment, Anko's sighed. Anko lay on the ground, gasping for breath. Meanwhile, 2 Anbu ninjas stood in front of her. When they saw the curse mark on Anko's neck, they were also taken aback. Is it a curse mark? It's Orochimaru, an Anbu ninja said through gritted teeth. Damn it. His companion helped Anko up. We will help you to Mr. Hokage's 010 immediately. Anko waved his hands, stood up and said, I'm going to pay a premium. It's already this time, don't go to the tower. Anbu argued. And, there is one more thing, I want you to see for yourself. There is a genin who passed the second round of exams in 96 minutes. 96 minutes. Anko was stunned. The difficulty of the Chunin exam was not that simple. If it only took 96 minutes, it would be too incredible. Take me to see it. Anko cheered up instantly. He was also curious about what kind of existence genin, who could pass the exam in 96 minutes, was like. In one room, Anko watches a videotape. I saw that Gaara above killed his opponent in an extremely easy way and got 2 scrolls. It is even said that there is not a trace of dust on the body. What a scary guy, Anko couldn't help but say. The Anbu staff next to him also nodded, and this Gaara is still in the Forest of Death. His goal seems to be more than just getting the scroll. Still fighting the enemy in the Forest of Death, is it to clear the enemies of the third round of exams? Enko clenched his fists. Chapter 077. Do something in the world. 4 more. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the Forest of Death. Ye Shenyue sat by the river, looked at the rushing water, and took a bite of wild boar. The wild boar born and raised in this dead forest is delicious. Take a bite, and the juice on it can fill your entire mouth, and the rich, pure and wild meat aroma rushes straight to your brain nerves. It's like being in a grassland. This authentic wild boar without any urban pollution is delicious, Ye Shenyue said angrily. And Naruto and Sasuke have almost taken off the bloodline-stained clothes, just washed them and put them aside to dry, and they can be dried after a while. Sasuke, come down and play in the water too. Naruto greets Sasuke who is sitting on the shore. And Sasuke is squatting aside in shorts now, holding a pork knuckle and eating deliciously. The curse seal just now almost hollowed out Sasuke's body, and now he wants to bite everything he sees. Idiot, can't you see I'm eating? Sasuke gritted his teeth and said. But he quickly remembered the curse mark on his neck. That was the mark left by Orochimaru, and when the curse mark first occurred, Sasuke just felt as if he couldn't control his body. It was simply unbearable. As for the consequences, I simply never thought about it. Advertisement. But the feeling that that kind of power brings to him is very comfortable, even a little pleasure. Uchiha Itachi, Orochimaru. Sasuke's face darkened suddenly, and he muttered softly. Suddenly, Naruto remembered one thing. That what Orochimaru ate his earth scroll, then burned the sky scroll. Naruto suddenly lifted his spirits. In other words, there will be one less team that can advance. Ye Shenyue raised his eyelids and looked at Naruto, then nodded, but isn't the scroll of Odonin is still here with us? With one hand, he took out the scroll of earth in his hand. But he took it out from the wreckage of toss, washed it with water several times, and finally it was clean, and it was not damaged at all. Naruto saw the scroll in Ye Shenyue's hand, and suddenly his eyelids twitched. That's right, we still need the scroll of earth. Then, he pouted his chin, as if he was recalling something. I have the impression. The sky scroll seems to be white at both ends, right? Naruto patted his thigh. I have a lot of scrolls here, such as ninjutsu teaching scrolls, shuriken teaching scrolls what? Before Naruto could finish speaking, Ye Shenyue gave him a slap in the face. Are you really stupid or fake? Do you know what's inside? If you don't know what's inside, wouldn't you recognize it at a glance? Ye Shenyue looked at Naruto with strange eyes. He even suspected that the third generation raised Naruto's placenta back then. Advertisement. Naruto scratched his head, but we opened the scroll of earth, maybe we can use the above content to deduce what the scroll of sky is. Before he finished speaking, Ye Shenyue kicked him into the river again. Idiot, wash your head and think about something. This scroll must have been tampered with by the examiners. You really think those examiners are fools? Naruto sat up and spat out the river water in his mouth. Looking at Ye Shenyue, he said aggrievedly, but. Before Naruto finished explaining, he saw Uchiha Kabuto walking over. That's right, it's really tampered with. As long as we open it privately, the hypnosis technique on it will be triggered, and we will be comatose until the end of the exam. Afterwards, Do sat in front of Naruto and said with a gentle smile, Naruto, so we still need to use normal means to obtain the scroll. After Naruto went ashore, he dried himself, looked at his pocket after getting dressed. Senior Do, have you collected all the scrolls? Do smiled faintly, that's right, I have both scrolls in my hands now, and now I just need to go to the tower in the center. After all, he pointed to the tall tower that could be vaguely seen not far away. Sasuke stood up suddenly, looked at the pocket, and sneered, you tell us like this, are you not afraid that we will snatch your scroll now? Looking at Sasuke, Do wasn't surprised at all, but said, your eyes are very unstable now, I believe you won't do anything. Sasuke snorted coldly, this is an exam, but also a task. Of course we have a reason to do it. Having said that, the current Sasuke still hasn't figured out whether to do it or not. Naruto also stopped in front of Sasuke at this time, and Sasuke said, Sasuke. He is our senior, how can we do anything to him? Originally, Ye Shenyue thought it would be better to look like this. Advertisement. This pocket itself is a spy, and he did not feel guilty about it. He grabbed Naruto by the ear and pulled him into the corner. Looking at Naruto with a puzzled expression, Ye Shenyue said to him earnestly. Backquote. Naruto, this is our mission. Although Do is a good senior, he is actually the enemy of our mission. In this case, we should deal with him. But, Naruto was clearly still unconvinced. Remember Naruto, Senior Do is also a member of the candidates this time. He is naturally eager to win the exam in an upright manner, but it's just because of our face that he didn't say it out. Do you understand? So let's do it now, is the best choice. Ye Shenyue has been trying her best to fool Naruto, after all, she is too lazy to look for the sky scroll that she doesn't know if she can find it. Naruto's eyes gradually, Nuo-Chinhao, became firmer. He turned around and smiled confidently at Do, Senior. Let's do it. Then, he waved his fist directly and rushed towards the pocket. The pocket is still fooling Sasuke, seeing Naruto beat him directly without saying a word, he is also startled. Naruto, what are you doing? Do hurriedly turned around, he couldn't be eliminated right now. He dodged Naruto's attack directly, and then a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Naruto, you can't defeat me alone. Although Do appears to be a top core student who has gone through 7 exams, his strength is not as simple as it appears on the surface. Now it's just in Naruto's words, he still believes that this guy can't beat himself. Don't talk nonsense. Look at the trick. Naruto took out the scroll of earth, then grabbed the two sections of the scroll with both hands, and opened the scroll directly. 078 Enemy in the Dark. 5th update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. HMPH. Since you said that opening the scroll will trigger the hypnosis spell, let me see if what you said is true. Naruto has a confident face, he believes that his skills are still good. In an instant, Do's face was attached to the scroll. Why? Don't. Before he could struggle, he fell directly to the ground. And Naruto also covered his eyes, not daring to take a look, he threw the scroll directly into the river, and was carried downstream by the river. Damn, this Naruto's brain is still very easy to use when it's critical. Ye Shenyue felt a little speechless, this guy's combat IQ is quite high. Although usually a naive batch. I found it. Scroll. With a smile on his face, Naruto took out the earth scroll and the sky scroll from his body, and hugged them in his arms with excitement on his face. Great, we can go to the tower. Naruto smiled at Class 7. Sasuke was taken aback at this moment, he didn't expect that Naruto would have such a trick. Moreover, this person seems to be more ruthless than himself, and the me just now was still thinking about whether to attack Pooh. But 747 didn't wait until he wanted to drive, so the pocket was put down directly. This guy, I can't be worse than him. Sasuke's eyes hardened. Let's go to the tower, there is still a teacher waiting for us, don't be late. Ye Shenyue sighed, and walked towards the tower with a few people behind him. Downstream at this time, a ninja was holding the only scroll in his hand, thinking whether to open the scroll to see what it was. Advertisement. No, this cannot violate my professional ethics. He wanted to wash his face with river water, sober himself up, and give up this damn idea. But as soon as he looked at the river, he saw the scroll floating on the river. Gah! The ninja screamed and fell directly to the ground. The forest surrounding the tower. Hurry up, we will be able to enter the forest in 10 minutes. Ye Shenyue urged, it's probably not as simple as it looks on the outside. At least there will be a lot of people, looking for someone to fight outside. Not for anything else, as long as there are fewer people entering the third round, then it can almost play the role of sweeping away the enemy. To be on the safe side, it's better for them to be faster. Boss, why are you in such a hurry? Naruto shuttled among the trees in a panic, with a hint of puzzlement in his eyes. Go, this is the last stage, hurry up and get somewhere so I can find a place to sleep. Ye Shenyue said angrily. Suddenly, the trees in front of them twisted a little. What's this? Naruto thought he was wrong. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a huge centipede. This centipede was at least 2 or 3 people long, which surprised Naruto. Advertisement. This is. Ye Shenyue suddenly had a bad guess. Don't stop. Leave it alone. Ye Shenyue urged again. Another 5 minutes passed. That is, he saw the huge mirror in front of him. At this time, Sasuke almost understood what the situation was like now. Not good, it is estimated that someone set up some illusions to keep us trapped here, just to waste our strength. Sasuke gritted his teeth. As that's so, Ye Shenyue murmured, it seems that the opponent is still not as friendly as he thought, at least for now it still looks extremely troublesome. Suddenly, a small voice was heard above the trees on the side. It rustled like someone was rubbing leaves. What happened? Ye Shenyue lifted his spirits, and with a wave of his hand, a ball of light floated directly into the air, giving a clear view of the surrounding light. I saw a group of ninjas lying on the tree at the moment, staring at them. Who are these ninjas? Strange, they look exactly the same. Naruto's eyes widened, seeming a little bewildered. When she saw the forehead protector on their foreheads, Ye Shenyue also discovered the true identities of these people. These are the ninjas from Rain Shinobi Village, we still have to be careful, they are not that simple. Ye Shenyue gritted her teeth, these ninjas wearing breathing masks are not fuel-efficient lights. These are just avatars, the main body is probably still hiding in the dark. Advertisement. Sasuke judged. These avatars saw that they had been seen through, and stood up one by one. Hey, it seems that you were really interesting, and now you can see through our identities, but if you only have these abilities, you still can't see enough. As soon as the voice fell, he saw at least dozens of clones around him, all of them took out the kunai in their hands, as if they wanted to attack them. Naruto smiled and said, these are not shadow clone, their attacks are all fake. Such attacks are useless to us. As soon as the words fell, a kunai brushed Naruto's cheek in an instant and nailed it to the tree behind him. A stream of blood flowed down Naruto's face. How is it possible? How could this happen? Naruto was shocked, could it be true? These are not real shadow clone. It's just the main body hiding in the dark. They use kunai in conjunction with these phantom ninjas' movements, making us mistakenly think it's phantom ninjas' attack. Ye Shenyue explained from the side that the methods of these ninjas are getting more and more difficult. Hey, I really miss the time when I accepted the D-level mission, that was my lost youth. That's the case. Get rid of all these phantom ninjas at the same time, and you can see their true colors. Ye Shenyue clasped his hands together, and in an instant, the dazzling light of the sun rose up. This light almost makes it difficult to open your eyes. Countless rays of light condensed into light needles, directly towards these phantom ninjas to assassinate. In just a short moment, when I saw these phantom ninjas, they turned into nothingness almost at the same time. So strong. Naruto gritted his teeth and said, it was almost impossible for him to deal with these phantom ninjas at the same time. Hee, it's not over yet. Ye Shenyue smiled coldly, and then clasped his hands together. The light that shot out from his palms looked like a long knife now. Sweeping out like the surrounding trees. The huge light knife directly swept away all the trees within tens of meters around. Boom. Countless trees collapsed inch by inch and turned into sawdust. 079 Lightspeed instant kill. 6 more. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The trees fell apart inch by inch, and the Rain Shinobi village ninjas who were hiding in the dark had no place to hide this time. 3 afterimages appeared directly in front of them. The 3 ninjas, wearing respirators and a forehead protector from Rain Shinobi village, looked at them maliciously. I didn't expect that you little ghosts still have some strength. A ninja said in surprise. Sasuke looked at the smug Ye Shenyue, and opened his eyes unconsciously. When did this guy become so powerful? Looking at Naruto who was full of fighting spirit around him, he remembered the scene where Naruto directly knocked down the pocket with the scroll in his hand before, and he was also very surprised. Not only Ye Shenyue, but even Naruto have made great progress. Am I the only one who has stagnated? Sasuke covered the curse mark on his neck, with a hint of malice in his eyes. And these 3 people still didn't seem to think that they had angered an evil god. I saw that the 3 of them seemed to be well trained in a unified seal, and even their voices were surprisingly consistent. Hufa-taki clone technique. In an instant, he saw dozens of similar-looking clones appearing in front of him for no reason. They don't have a powerful chakra like Naruto, these are just clones of common, but it's not that simple. Ye Shenyue saw the key point at a glance. Sasuke also nodded with a sneer, and directly opened Sharingan. With the opening of Sharingan, the chakra flow on these avatars in front of them is also extremely obvious. It was just a sharp pain in the neck, which suddenly made Sasuke flustered. The curse mark on his neck spread again, and Naruto who was on the side saw this scene directly. Advertisement. Sasuke, your wound. And this pain made Sasuke extremely uncomfortable, he just wanted to get rid of this pain as soon as possible. Damn, you guys. Sasuke's eyes were scarlet, and he quickly formed seals, and he shouted, fire-style dragon fire technique. A majestic flame turned into a shocking pillar of fire, which spread directly, making it almost difficult for people to open their eyes. So strong. Naruto on the side also widened his eyes. Ye Shenyue glanced at Sasuke who was at the side. Although this Sasuke didn't learn much from himself, his constitution is already much stronger than normal. It made his tolerance to the curse seal much stronger. What a monster, Ye Shenyue murmured, as if he had forgotten that he was the most monster. The majestic flames directly locked on a ninja, only to see countless flames exploding randomly, and that ninja immediately stepped back with his whole body scorched black. The clothes on his chest were burned through, and his severely burned body was exposed, making him scream again and again. He doesn't have the power of Orochimaru. From this point of view, there is something wrong with Sasuke now. Ye Shenyue gasped and looked at the troubled boy, Sasuke. Sasuke clutched his neck, and now the pain has spread more and more. And the body seems to have some changes, the skin has become dull. This powerful chakra has gradually transformed his body. Naruto also pointed at Sasuke in surprise. Sasuke you. Advertisement. It's driven by the second paragraph of curse printing, which is a bit interesting. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly, but the current Sasuke still seems unable to master such amazing power. He persisted for a while, and finally lifted the Sharingan, lying on the ground. The curse seal that had just spread on his body was also lifted immediately. Sasuke, how are you? Naruto hastily picked up Sasuke. With the removal of the curse seal, the pain on Sasuke's body also gradually disappeared, his eyes widened, and he seemed a little flustered. What happened to me just now? I feel like the chakra on my body has been changed. Sasuke still couldn't understand the power of the curse seal. He looked up at the sea of flames in front of him and the burned Rain Shinobi village ninja, and his eyes widened. Could it be that all this is my strength? He covered his neck, his eyes filled with excitement. FK, it's coming. Ye Shenyue covered her face. Hee. Sasuke covered his neck in surprise, and looked at the clones in front of him with contempt. This kind of power, it's him. It's the power that Orochimaru gave me. With this I can have my revenge. 0 for flowers. 0. He just wanted to activate Sharingan again, but found that his body had been overdrawn to ultimate. With a bang, he fell to the ground, convulsing all over. Very good, much better than the normal state of opening the seal, at least I have the strength to brag a few words. Ye Shenyue applauded in satisfaction. Ye Shenyue looked at the tall tower behind the Rain Shinobi village ninjas, took a deep breath, and said, I'm in a hurry, and now I'm a little sleepy. Then he squatted down and assumed a starting posture. Advertisement. What does he want? A ninja from Rain Shinobi village looked at Ye Shenyue in horror. And Ye Shenyue just smiled lightly, and then saw his body, which really turned into a ray of light. At a speed close to the speed of light, he constantly shuttled beside this group of clones. One punch blasted a clone. Not this one. Neither is this. Haha, it's you. Just a few seconds later, the remaining 2 ninjas with a big hole in their chest fell to the ground, covered in blood. Already dead. After picking up the scrolls on them, Ye Shenyue let out a cold snort, and directly crushed these scrolls instantly. Very well. In this case, there will be one less group of competitors. Naruto's eyes widened as he watched Ye Shenyue kill the 2 ninjas so cleanly and instantly. Boss, you are so powerful. There are so many enemies, even if I come one by one, it will take a long time to defeat them. Naruto looked at Ye Shenyue with admiring and disgusting eyes, and Ye Shenyue got goosebumps all over his body. Okay, let's go to the tower. He knocked Naruto on the head, then tapped Sasuke on the ground with his chin. Naruto understood immediately, picked up the exhausted Sasuke, and the group headed towards the tower. Arriving in front of the tower, Ye Shenyue let out a sigh of relief. After so long, he was finally able to complete the damn second round of exams. 080 Don't foam, Chia. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Inside the tower. Ye Shenyue opened the 2 scrolls in his hand, only to see that there were herringbone written on them. At the same time, a huge herringbone appeared on the wall in front of him. Strange, what does this mean? Naruto looked puzzled. And Ye Shenyue shook his head slowly, you will know in a while. Bang. A cloud of smoke lingers. Iruka folded his arms and looked at the three people in front of him happily. Naruto saw Iruka standing in front of him, he was very surprised, Teacher Iruka. Iruka smiled slightly and said, as the herald of the second exam, I congratulate you for passing the second round of exams. Afterwards, looking at the 7th class, he smiled faintly and said, do you know why the last scroll is written with the word herringbone? Ye Shenyue couldn't help but her eyelids twitched. It is estimated that, April 20th, Iruka will give a lecture again. Talk about the right time, place and people for the success of the bullshit ninja. He has heard enough of these things. I don't know, and at the same time I don't want to know, Mr. Iruka, we'll see you again. If we are destined to meet again in the future, I'll treat you to Ichiraku ramen instead, the one that can add 2 big pieces of meat. Ye Shenyue hastily pulled Naruto out of the tower. And Naruto did not forget to turn his head and say hello to Mr. Iruka, Mr. Iruka. Remember to eat ramen together some other day. Looking at the 7th class who came and went in a hurry, Iruka scratched his head with a bitter smile on his face. These kids. In the Konoha duel arena. Advertisement. 3rd Hokage stood in front of a group of people and began to speak. Hee, congratulations to you newbies who successfully passed the second exam. Then he glanced at these people, there were originally 76 people, but now there are only 16 left. That's great. When he saw Ye Shenyue, his eyelids jumped, this guy also passed. Ye Shenyue looked at the old man of the 3rd generation looking at himself, smiled evilly, and then made a lewd gesture. Cough cough. 3rd Hokage recalled the picture described in the novel Ye Shenyue gave him before, and couldn't help but blush. If you let Ye Shenyue talk about these things, you will be too late. Enko looked at these people and smiled slightly, very good, but the number of people I want is only in single digits. Digits. Everyone, look at me, and I look at you, there are 16 people in total, where is the number? Hey, so I need to arrange a qualifier. It's so troublesome to have the qualifiers. Shikamaru snorted, crossing his arms in dissatisfaction. Yeah, it's so troublesome. Ye Shenyue looked at Shikamaru, and the salted fish duo cherished each other. 3rd generation knocked on the table and said, in the qualifiers, there are a total of 16 people, and the rule is one-on-one battles. Unless one party dies or loses the ability to fight, or admits defeat, the other party wins. Hearing this rule, everyone was shocked. This means that you must go all out, otherwise you may be beheaded by your opponent. Can you kill people? Gaara looked very excited, licked her lips, and showed a creepy smile, I'm so excited. Enko nodded, then unfurled a huge banner. The above is the moment of the battle of this qualifier. Take care of yourself. After reading it, Ye Shenyue raised her eyebrows. Advertisement. Be good, the first scene is yourself. Looking at the battle list, Naruto read slowly, Ye Shenyue vs. Zanya, boss, the first match is you. I got it, Ye Shenyue said helplessly. At this time, Hinata came over, lowered her head and said shyly, Ye Shenyue-kun, come on. Kiba and Orochimaru, who were warming up, raised their fists in dissatisfaction. Hey, Hinata, which side are you from? Wow. Ye Shenyue touched Hinata's head and comforted him. Hinata, it's okay, I will win. Yeah, Hinata nodded with a smile on her face. Seeing these two people, Ya didn't want to complain anymore, because he found that standing with Orochimaru in front of Ye Shenyue looked extremely sad. Perhaps this is the fate of single dogs. Boss, come on, defeat the guy who wants to take Hokage's position with me. Naruto also clenched his fists and cheered Ye Shenyue. Ye Shenyue waved his hand, don't worry, I'll try for a quick solution. Qualifiers begin. All the people were standing in the stands. They stared at Ye Shenyue and Ya. There seemed to be a little excitement in Ya's eyes, and he put on a posture, the long nails on his hands were particularly eye-catching. Ye Shenyue couldn't help complaining. How long has it been since I cut my nails? Ya was very excited. After all, he met this guy who looked very strong from outsiders. He looked at Ye Shenyue and smiled confidently, and said, Ye Shenyue. I can't let water. You have to watch how I beat you. Orochimaru also stood on the ground, grinning, weird. 3rd generation looked at these two people, pulled his hood excitedly, and slanted his mouth, Ye Shenyue, how strong are you? I saw Ya squeezed his fists, then waved his hands, and rushed towards Ye Shenyue at an extremely fast speed. Advertisement. It was in front of Ye Shenyue in an instant. Orochimaru's eyes lit up, he jumped up high first, and then bit Ye Shenyue fiercely. But at this time, I saw Ye Shenyue directly passing through her body. Ye Shenyue's body has already been transformed into a flesh condensed by photons, and it is still difficult for this level of physical attack to harm him. Wow, woof, woof. Orochimaru fell to the ground with a dazed expression, turned his head and was at a loss. And Ya didn't expect this situation, and was directly grabbed by the neck by Ye Shenyue. Boom, pressed on the ground of the duel arena. Click, the slabs underneath are falling apart. How could it be? Fang struggled to stand up. At this moment, he found that Ye Shenyue was really powerful and a bit scary. 5.0. Orochimaru, help me. Kiba hurriedly asked Orochimaru for help. If Orochimaru didn't come again, he might have been directly strangled to death by Ye Shenyue. But Ye Shenyue is actually very measured, he just wants to make Ya admit defeat, he doesn't want to work hard with Ya. Hey, Ye Shenyue shook his head helplessly, then turned to look at Orochimaru who was rushing towards him. Stand back, Ye Shenyue shouted abruptly, Conqueror's Haki urges. Orochimaru instantly felt a trace of incomparably terrifying breath, which directly pressed on his body, making him breathless. He foamed at the mouth and passed out on the ground. Orochimaru. Kiba's eyes widened as he watched his ultimate comrade in arms fall to the ground. What did you do to Orochimaru? 081 Take care of beautiful women. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The current Ye Shenyue is fully capable of Jonin's strength, and Conqueror's Haki has also been cultivated to a very strong state. Using Conqueror's Haki against an Orochimaru is still easy. Damn it, Ye Shenyue, I want to defeat you. Tooth reached for kunai around his waist with difficulty, and stabbed Ye Shenyue's throat fiercely with his sword. When Ye Shenyue used Armament Haki's strengthened palm, and directly squeezed kunai in his hand, without even leaving the slightest scar. How is it possible? He actually held my kunai. Ya was shocked, he had never encountered such a situation before. Orochimaru passed out, and she was also subject to Ye Shenyue. It can be said that it will undoubtedly fail. Tooth, you'd better give up, you can't beat me. Ye Shenyue sighed helplessly. Seeing Ye Shenyue tightly suppressing her teeth, Hinata also opened her eyes wide. As expected, Mr. Ye Shenyue was so strong. Ino also clutched his chest, blushing slightly. The man I'm looking at is awesome. Even the old man of third generation touched his chin, and looked at Ye Shenyue with narrowed eyes. This little guy is getting stronger and stronger, really good. .02. I admit defeat. Ya's eyes dimmed, and he said helplessly. Seeing Ya admit defeat, Moonlight Gale directly flashed down, pulled Ye Shenyue away, then raised Ye Shenyue's hand, and said to everyone. The first qualifying round. Ye Shenyue wins. Seeing the Moonlight blast with kidney deficiency, Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, and then left the practice field directly. It's finally over. After the game, Ye Shenyue leaned on the bench, and Naruto squatted aside, serving him hot tea. Advertisement. FK. After taking a sip, Ye Shenyue looked refreshed. At this moment, he was gently beating Ye Shenyue's back, with a heart in his eyes. Ye Shenyue-kun, are you comfortable? Not bad. Ino, you are very good. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes. And Hinata also tiptoed over. Looking at Ye Shenyue, he pursed his lips and brought a bottle of ointment. Mr. Ye Shenyue, are you injured? Do you want my ointment? No need, but since it's little Hinata's wish, I'll accept it. Ye Shenyue took the ointment and smelled it. Not bad. The scent of a girl. And looking at Hinata and Ino, the body proportions are getting better and better now. Hey, watching too much hurts the body. Ye Shenyue nodded Naruto with his chin and said, Naruto, where did Sasuke go? Now that Sasuke has suddenly disappeared, Ye Shenyue is still quite worried. This buddy is still not stable because of the curse imprinted on his body, and it will be bad if something happens. However, according to Sasuke's constitution, the possibility of problems is almost negligible. Naruto scratched his head. The next match is Sasuke's. Now he's preparing. On the dueling arena, Sasuke stood where he was, looking at Choji in front of him. Choji ate the last potato chip in front of him and dropped the bag on the ground. He said with a stern face, Sasuke, although we are friends, I will not show mercy in the qualifiers. Stop talking nonsense. Come on. Advertisement. Sasuke had a fighting spirit on his face. Now he seems to be able to feel the curse seal in his body burning with energy. Now he has full confidence in his own strength. And third Hokage also heard about Sasuke's curse seal. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and said to Sasuke. Sasuke, if the curse mark on your body goes berserk, we will choose to restrain you. At the same time, we will also disqualify you from the competition. Obviously, third Hokage and a group of Jonin are still very afraid of Sasuke's curse mark. Enko's curse seal, third Hokage has been sealed, but the current Sasuke is not very stable, and Sarutobi Hiruzen dare not act rashly. In case of a mistake, the last Uchiha clan will be gone. Sasuke looked at third Hokage, and snorted dissatisfiedly, understood, Lord Hokage. Moonlight Gale stood in the middle of the duel arena with a sickly look on his face. He looked at everyone and said weakly, that's good. The second round of the qualifiers. Sasuke vs. Choji. The battle begins. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Sasuke take out his own shuriken and threw it towards Choji in an instant. I saw several shurikens, heading directly towards the second storm at an extremely fast speed. Choji shook his chubby body, clasped his hands together, let out a loud shout, and said, Meat Bomb Chariot. As soon as the words fell, his body spun rapidly, turned into a huge spinning top, and rushed towards Sasuke. When those shurikens flew aside and were nailed to the ground. Tisk, it's a bit tricky. As expected of you, Choji. Sasuke's eyes showed a trace of fire, and now he also wants to know, after he got new power. What a difference. It just looks like now, maybe I still have to hide the power of my curse seal, but this does not prevent me from defeating the current Choji. I saw his hands flying up and down, forming seals quickly, a slightly surprising chakra also condensed in Sasuke's body. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Advertisement. I saw a huge fireball burst out from Sasuke's mouth, burning towards Choji with thick smoke. With this posture, even third Hokage couldn't help raising his eyebrows. Fire style like this, as expected of the Uchiha clan. A born fire style ninja. 777. Facing the huge fireball, Choji resolutely crushed it, but after passing through the thick smoke and flames, he hit the wall directly. Boom. The dust and smoke surged, and the wall was hit directly into a huge pothole. Countless rocks split open, and Choji also stopped his body, shaking in place a few times. His eyes widened, and he said in surprise, where did Sasuke go? At this moment, Sasuke flashed out of the thick smoke and kicked Choji hard on the back. Choji was kicked and flew out. When he staggered a few steps, Sasuke flew in front of him again. Lion Blast. He kicked Choji hard on the chin, and while Choji was flying in midair, he beat Choji directly. Boom. When Choji fell to the ground, he was almost incapacitated. Moonlight Hayate held up Sasuke's hand when he saw that Choji had lost his ability to fight. Second qualifier. Sasuke wins. Seeing Sasuke's astonishing performance, Ye Shenyue also smiled slightly, this guy. He really is extraordinary. 082 Another Gaara. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kakashi saw that Sasuke easily dealt with Choji, and his eyes widened, looking very surprised. I didn't expect that Sasuke's constitution would become even more terrifying when the curse seal eroded his body. This talent is really terrifying. Sasuke sneered, wiped his nose, and walked away. I didn't expect this qualifier to be so simple. And the qualifiers are still going on like a raging fire. The third game is Haruno Sakura vs Tenten. Relying on his astonishing mastery of ninja tools, Tien solved Haruno Sakura after a short fight. And Haruno Sakura also missed the third final. And the fourth match, Xiao Li's battle against Gaara, also started here. Before going to the arena, Xiao Li looked at Mr. Guy, who accompanied him with tears in his eyes. Teacher Guy, I will burn my youth and blood like a man. I will defeat this guy. Xiao Li clenched his fists, his face full of determination. And Guy hugged Xiao Li directly, and said in a passionate tone, good man. On the road of burning youth. We must go all out. I will, Teacher Guy. Looking at Xiao Li, who was reluctant to leave, Gaara also sighed and said, are you ready? I can't wait. Then, an astonishing killing intent burst out from his eyes. This guy. Sasuke looked at Gaara, and there was a trace of expectation in his eyes. Advertisement. Now he still hopes to be able to fight Gaara. Sasuke also sneered when he saw that Gaara's opponent was Xiao Li, who had defeated him. Now he wanted to see if this opponent was on the same level as Gaara. And Xiao Li stretched his body, looking at Gaara opposite him, his tone was full of firmness. Gaara of Sandstorm. As a genius ninja, I want to see the real difference between me and you. Xiao Li put on a confrontation posture, come and show me. How many do you have? Wait for strength. Snort. Gaara doesn't seem to be interested in Xiao Li. Xiao Li smiled slightly, and then his figure flashed suddenly. Then appeared directly in front of Gaara. It was extremely fast, almost equivalent to the speed of teleportation, which also surprised Uzumaki Naruto. Wow. If this guy with thick eyebrows is a few hundred times faster, he can be faster than the boss. Just a few hundred times. Ye Shenyue glanced at Uzumaki Naruto dissatisfied. After that, he watched Xiao Li kick hard and kicked Gaara directly. However, Xiao Li just felt that his foot was soft, and countless sand appeared around Gaara in an instant, blocking the foot. What? Xiao Li seemed a little surprised, and then launched a stormy attack on Gaara. But no matter how fast his attack frequency is, how amazing his speed is, how weird and tricky his angle is, he can be easily defended by Gaara using a sieve. And Gaara just folded her arms and didn't move. Isn't it even moving? Xiao Li was also very surprised. Since this is the case, I admit that you are a very strong opponent. Xiao Li took 2 steps back and said seriously, since this is the case, I will fight with all my strength. Then, he looked at Guy, Mr. Guy, can I take it off? Yes. Guy gave a thumbs up, come on. I allow you to take it off. Advertisement. Xiao Li slowly untied a row of iron body tied to his feet. Gaara just sneered and said, it's just lighten some weight. Do you really think you can beat me? He shook his head slightly, appearing to be very disdainful. However, Xiao Li just looked at Gaara with blood on his face, and then threw the weight in his hand to the ground. Boom. I saw countless dust and smoke surging. Straight into the sky a few meters. This extremely heavy load even directly smashed the floor under Xiao Li's feet. This. Uzumaki Naruto's eyes widened. Could it be that he has been practicing with this? Okay. It's much easier now. Xiao Li smiled lightly, then looked at Gaara, come on. Now I will have a fair fight with you. Cut. It's boring. Although Gaara was still extremely surprised in her heart, she still expressed her disdain. However, this time, Xiao Li's speed was so fast that it was almost impossible to detect. Even if Sasuke doesn't activate Sharingan, it is almost impossible to capture Xiao Li's speed. So fast. Sasuke seemed to be extremely surprised, he still didn't expect that the opponent in his heart could do so much for the sake of cultivation. This point makes him almost beyond the reach of the dust. Like a thunderous kick, it also directly kicked Gaara. At this moment, Gaara's defense is obviously already somewhat powerless. But still reluctantly blocked Xiao Li's kick. Backquote. That's all. Gaara smiled confidently. But the next second, his smile suddenly froze. Advertisement. I saw that Xiao Li's kick even penetrated the sand directly, hitting Gaara's cheek directly. Gaara, who was careless, flew upside down, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. How is it possible? It hurt me. After Gaara got up, covering the wound on her face, her voice also became strange. It had been a long time since he had experienced the feeling of being hurt. This time, he really paid attention to Xiao Li. And the next moment, Xiao Li's attack like a torrential rain was displayed vividly again. I saw that Gaara's sand couldn't catch up with Xiao Li's speed at all, and could only passively defend. Well done. In just a few seconds, Gaara was beaten up a dozen times. Ha! Xiao Li kicked Gaara hard again. Boom. Gaara was directly thrown out of the factory by being smashed abruptly. Amidst the smoke and dust, Xiao Li carefully looked at the direction in front of him. He also didn't know what happened to Gaara now. Ha 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 ha. Amidst the smoke and dust, a strange smile spread. And hearing this smile, the expressions of Temari and Konkuro suddenly became weird. Oops. It seems that the current Xiao Li has completely inspired another Gaara. Konkuro said worriedly. I saw Gaara walking out slowly, the sand armor on her body was falling off layer by layer, and her expression became distorted. And in the next second, countless sand and dust condensed together and smashed towards Xiao Li in an instant. 0838 Inner Gates. Open. 4 more. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Faced with this sudden attack, Xiao Li naturally knew that it was difficult for him to really hurt Gaara with his current attack. In that case, Mr. Guy, I'm going to use that trick. Xiao Li secretly made up his mind, now he can only use Lianhua to defeat Gaara. The original Xiao Li didn't want to work so hard, but facing a genius like Gaara, Xiao Li also made up his mind, and now he must go all out. First hue, open. His body began to tremble in an instant, and at the same time, gradually, infinite power also surged out. Third life gate, open. Xiao Li's skin gradually turned red, and at the same time, the power on his body became more terrifying. The fourth injury door, open. After opening the fourth gate, today's Xiao Li's strength has already reached its peak. This kind of formidable power poured out continuously from his body. Gaara was a little surprised, even by him now. As this the 8 inner gates. Ye Shenyue saw the 8 inner gates for the first time, and was very curious about the strength of the 8 inner gates. I don't know what level Xiao Li can reach now. The current Xiao Li, not only in speed but also in strength, has become astonishingly terrifying. He stomped hard on the ground, and when he climbed to 883, the ground was torn apart and exploded. Its powerful air waves even rolled up countless sandstones and rushed towards the stands. The audience covered their eyes. So strong. This man is so strong. Uzumaki Naruto said in surprise. Advertisement. Well, it's a bit. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly, but compared with himself, he was still far behind. At this time, Xiao Li kicked Gaara fiercely, directly kicking Gaara into the air. And now Gaara doesn't even have the slightest reaction to resist, her sand armor can no longer keep up with Xiaoji's speed now. Lianhua, Xiao Li shouted loudly. In an instant, his offensive in the air became more terrifying, and Gaara could only be beaten passively in the air. Countless sand and dust flew over, and even Gaara's sand armor couldn't resist such an attack. Is this really a speed that humans can do? Gaara was extremely surprised, Xiao Li is simply a monster now. But now he doesn't even have room to fight back. Faced with the final blow, Xiao Li let out a loud cry, endured the severe pain of opening the 8-gate axe armor, punched hard, mixed with all his strength, and smashed towards Gaara directly and viciously. At this moment, an unprecedented fighting spirit ignited in Xiao Li's heart. It was the first time he fought against such a genius ninja. And Gaara narrowed his eyes slightly at this moment, and the gourd behind him was slowly melting into sand. Seeing this scene, Ye Shenyue narrowed her eyes slightly. If this, I love Luo, is successful, it may be hard to say. We must not let him succeed, otherwise Konoha will collapse. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly, and pointed her finger slightly at Gaara. An imperceptible ray of light rushed to Gaara's eyes. In the last second, Gaara was still looking at Xiao Li's punch, estimating the timing of his defense. But in the next second, there was a wave of evil in front of Gaara's eyes. Countless photons poured into Gaara's eyes directly. Advertisement. Ah, Gaara let out a scream, and now his eyes are pitch black. Is there really something wrong with my eyes? Gaara was filled with question marks. At this moment, Xiao Li also punched hard, hitting Gaara right on the body. Boom. The dust and smoke are stirring. The earth is trembling. The strength of the fourth gate's injury was directly driven by Xiao Li to the ultimate. This terrifying power, it even set off bursts of air waves, rushing around. Oops. Temari gritted his teeth directly. And Konkuro was also surprised and directly crushed the railing on the stand. The dust and smoke dissipated, and Xiao Li stood on the ground, panting heavily. The current him really has no strength at all. And Gaara was lying on the back covered in blood, and now he was panting heavily. At the last moment, he reluctantly activated the sand armor, tightly protecting his body. Without Ye Shenyue, he would never be where he is now. Huh, it's okay. Now, one tail's strength will be greatly reduced. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly. It doesn't matter if Xiao Li wins or not, as long as Gaara's strength is weakened. After all, the current Gaara has been seriously injured. And Xiao Li looked at Gaara lying in a pool of blood, forced a smile, and then gave Guy a thumbs up. Advertisement. Guy-sensei, I have carried out my ninja way. As soon as the voice fell, Xiao Li sat on the ground directly and lifted the 8 gate. But in the next second, countless sands wrapped around Xiao Li's neck in an instant. At this moment, Gaara's heart was filled with anger. Just when he was about to strangle Xiao Li directly, he saw Guy rushing directly to the duel field, breaking up the sand. Damn it. Gaara closed her eyes helplessly. Since you, the teacher, made the move, I should count it as a win, right? Moonlight Gale flashed to the duel arena and said, the 4th round of the qualifiers. Gaara wins. Temari and Konkuro also hurried down and carried Gaara back to the stands. Although Gaara is seriously injured now, he still has a sliver of consciousness. He gritted his teeth and said, I didn't expect that at the last moment. He let out a sigh of relief, and looked at Xiao Li unwillingly. If it weren't for the fact that my current physical condition really didn't allow it, I would definitely choose to kill Xiaoji now. Temari hurriedly said to Gaara, there is still some time before the 3rd final. Gaara, you can use this time to recover your body. Maybe you can still complete the task then. Gaara nodded, then looked at Konkuro, you have to keep your strength now, understand? In the next week, Gaara probably won't have much fighting power, so it still depends on Konkuro and Temari. Otherwise, Konoha's collapse plan is estimated to be difficult to implement. And Uchiha Sasuke looked at the current Gaara with horror in his eyes. It seems that such an opponent can really defeat Xiao Li, but this also makes Sasuke even more excited. After all, he also wanted to see if an opponent like Gaara could defeat him. Gaara, looking forward to fighting with you. Sasuke smiled slyly. 084 Troublesome Woman. 5th watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Moonlight Hayate looked at the messy playing field at this time, and could only sigh, and said, 5th match. Konkuro vs. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto looked at Konkuro with a fighting look on his face. He had been annoyed by this purple-faced monster for a long time, and now he finally found a chance to beat him up. Hey, you bastard, watch how I beat you, Naruto said viciously. Kankuro shrugged his shoulders, and said to Naruto with an indifferent look, "You are too strong, I can't beat you." Examiner. I abstain. Abstain. Everyone was amazed. In their eyes, Naruto still looked like a crane tail, but now Kankuro was actually afraid of a crane tail. This kind of thing makes them almost puzzled. Candidate Kankuro, are you sure? Moonlight Hayate repeated again. I abstain. I can't beat this brat. I'm a weak chicken. Kankuro said helplessly, then he was called a crow and left the examination room directly. Hey, I finally found a chance to beat you up, so what's the matter with you giving up? Naruto immediately gritted his teeth, waved his fist, and almost rushed forward. Kankuro is complete. Uzumaki Naruto wins, Moonlight Gale announced. Seeing Kankuro receding, Ye Shenyue also smiled slightly, and said, it seems that this guy still wants to save his strength. Is it because Gaara was seriously injured? Interesting. Cut. Damn it, I'm so mad. Uzumaki Naruto returned to Ye Shenyue angrily, with a helpless expression on his face. You can win without fighting, isn't it good? Advertisement. Ye Shenyue snorted coldly, he was still looking forward to such a thing. And the sixth game is Neji vs. Hinata. Although Hinata has followed Ye Shenyue for so long, in fact Ye Shenyue still has no guidance for Hinata. But her constitution has undergone tremendous changes, and she can barely keep up with Neji's pace. However, Neji's talent still surpassed Hinata's. After fighting for a while, Hinata still lost to Neji. Seeing that the gap between Hinata and his strength is so small, Neji is also autistic. Damn, is Hinata almost catching up to me? Neji wanted to cry. He still doesn't know that almost all of this is Ye Shenyue's credit. In the stands, looking at Hinata covered in scars, Ye Shenyue's eyes also showed a hint of distress. Come on, little Hinata, let me give you a hug. Looking at Hinata in his arms, Ye Shenyue also let out a long sigh. No, it's time to find time to teach your little friends. Although these people have potential, they are still developing too slowly. Uzumaki Naruto's mastery of ninjutsu and chakra is still inferior among the 12 Xiaoqiang, but his chakra amount is still very scary. And the little pet in his belly, it's time to find some time to train it. As for Uchiha Sasuke, although his curse seal is very terrifying. And the constitution is also so powerful, but the side effects of the curse seal still exist. If the side effects are eliminated, his strength can almost reach the level of a quasi-jonin. This is not a joke, the second stage of the curse mark combined with his current powerful constitution, the power contained in it is very amazing. After developing the Sharingan. Tut. Although Hinata's talent is still very average, but she has her own 10,000 worlds fishing rod, it can be said that all of this is not a problem. Hey, it's time for me to exercise my old arms and legs. Ye Shenyue let out a sigh of salted fish. Advertisement. If my little brothers grow up, they will be invincible. If so, how much trouble will I save myself? Bitter before sweet. After that, I can still be a happy salted fish. He applied the ointment to Hinata's skin, and blew again, it will be fine after a few days of cultivation. Thank you Mr. Ye Shenyue. Hinata was shy and soft all over. And the 7 games are against Aburame Shino. After Heart Turn Technique controlled Aburame Shino and announced his abstention, Ino also advanced smoothly. Mr. Ye Shenyue, I have advanced. Ino hugged Ye Shenyue, rubbing against his body. Little Ino is not bad. Ye Shenyue said so, but she was actually very speechless. After all, the heart-turning technique is simply a huge bug. It doesn't take much to win. No kidding. Game 8 begins. The last two, Temari and Shikamaru. Temari held the fan and looked at Shikamaru opposite, with black lines on his face. 0. Ask for flowers. Why you? Temari wanted to cry, but this guy, wasn't he the one sitting next to him in the first written test? Shikamaru looked at Temari with dead fish eyes for a moment, then plucked his ears with his fingers, then blew, and said, troublesome woman. I really don't want to see you. Advertisement. Don't want to see me. I don't want to see you. Temari gritted his teeth. Hey, let's compare. I'm in trouble. One bite, one trouble. How lazy you are. Seeing these two people bickering, Ye Shenyue also let out a long sigh, this is really boring enough. After a while, the two finally officially started fighting. As for Temari, who was obviously injured because of Gaara, he was still afraid, and didn't want to expose his real 5 too much. Shaking a flaw, after being controlled by Shikamaru's shadow imitation technique, he declared defeat. This guy, is he hiding his strength? Shikamaru was a little surprised, since Sunagaku was gone. Then when it comes to the finals, all the ninjas of Konoha. And their Sunagaku ninja can only stand in the auditorium. It's not that simple, Shikamaru gasped. This time, all 8 matches of the qualifiers are over. Those who successfully advanced are Ye Shenyue, Sasuke, Naruto, Neji, Shaoli, Tiantian, Ino, Shikamaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood in the middle of the shattered duel field, and congratulated these people. Congratulations. You have successfully completed the qualifiers. The next final is scheduled for 1 month later. So, please take this time to carefully analyze your opponent's strength. I hope you will have a good performance then. And whether you can become a chunin or not will be judged by our examiners. So I hope you can perform well. 1 more month. Ye Shenyue's eyes lit up. He couldn't see the slightest tension in front of him. After all, the chunin exam itself didn't matter to him. He directly grabbed Naruto and Sasuke's necks and came in front of Ino and Hinata. Let's go for a picnic first. It's been a long time. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. Gaara, whose body was wrapped in bandages in the distance, looked at Ye Shenyue, and said disdainfully, this guy, is he really not serious at all? 085 The tailed beast appears. Open black lens bracket and update. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. But boss, do we really not need to prepare for the 3rd round of the finals? Naruto looked puzzled. Naruto knew that the upcoming finals were very important for them, deciding whether they could advance to Chunin. But Ye Shenyue didn't seem to care about it at all. Hey, isn't it just the finals? I don't even care about it. Why do you still care about it? Be normal. Ye Shenyue looked very relaxed. He didn't think that his opponent would be able to kill him this time. The last round of the Chunin exam was very easy for Ye Shenyue, and what he cared about was actually the so-called Konoha collapse plan. That is the main event. Before that, we must seize the time to improve our strength. After all, the current strength of Naruto and Sasuke is too weak, and Ye Shenyue was not at ease to hand over his life to his 8 zeros. Hey, Ye Shenyue, you must know that the opponent is Sunagaku's. There was a hint of caution in Sasuke's eyes. Those who can defeat Shaoli cannot be ignored. With such strength, one must go all out. It's not necessary. Ye Shenyue shrugged slightly. The current Gaara has nothing to do with Ye Shenyue. Because Gaara's strength is indeed not enough. You said, there is no need. Gaara's voice appeared eerie behind Ye Shenyue. Gaara, who was wrapped in bandages, stared hugely, and could see the terrifying killing intent. Seeing that Ye Shenyue ignored her, Gaara snorted coldly, stretched out her hand and tore off the bandage on her body. How dare you ignore me? Advertisement. As soon as the words fell, the sand condensed together and aimed at Ye Shenyue. Gaara, don't mess with business, Konkuro reminded hastily. Since the fight with Shaoli, Gaara's mood is unstable now. Both Konkuro and Temari were worried, and now Gaara suddenly went berserk. Die. As soon as the words fell, a cloud of sand condensed into a huge pillar, which rushed towards Ye Shenyue abruptly and quickly. Kakashi and the ninjas didn't expect this kind of thing to happen, and now they can't stop Gaara no matter what. How is it possible? Gaara actually. Kakashi looked at Ye Shenyue hastily. This attack was almost deadly to an ordinary genin. Hey, Ye Shenyue smiled faintly, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Since you did something to yourself, don't blame yourself for being cruel. He stretched out his hand slightly, and then heard a bang. Armament Haki blessed the arm and directly held the opponent's sand. The penetrating nature of the sand can obviously penetrate the wall directly, but this level can't help Ye Shenyue. It actually blocked my attack. Gaara was very surprised. She didn't expect that Ye Shenyue had such power. I see, you are worthy of being my opponent. Gaara retracted the sand, stood up, looked at Ye Shenyue, eyes full of excitement. Ye Shenyue turned around slowly. You will not be my opponent now, and you will not be my opponent on the day of the Chunin exam. Hearing this, Gaara couldn't even believe her ears. In the Death Forest, Gaara also killed quite a few teams. In his eyes, these genins of Konoha are almost vulnerable. Advertisement. And Ye Shenyue dared to say such words to him. But when he saw Ye Shenyue blocked his attack, Gaara was also extremely excited. Sure enough, Ye Shenyue, I look forward to meeting you in the third session of the Chunin exam. Ye Shenyue smiled and said nothing, and shook her head. The next time we meet, it will be a real battle of life and death. See you when Konoha collapses. When he walked outside, looking at the blue sky outside the duel field, Ye Shenyue let out a long breath. He slowly looked back at Sasuke and Naruto who were following him closely, with a strange smile on his face. Hey, little Sasuke, little Naruto, the next month may not be easy for you guys. Ye Shenyue couldn't help but gear up. Seeing the eerie smile on Ye Shenyue's face, Sasuke and Naruto couldn't help shivering. What's going on with this Ye Shenyue? This smile is really weird. Just follow me, Ye Shenyue said to the two of them. In the forest around Konoha. By the river, Ye Shenyue took out the wanji fishing rod with a salty fish expression on his face. Ah, it's still interesting to fish. Ye Shenyue smiled slightly. Boss, didn't you say you want to train us? Is this fishing training? Naruto rested his chin and sat next to Ye Shenyue, a Japanese-faced Wachan. He didn't expect that the training Ye Shenyue mentioned was simply fishing. Advertisement. Sasuke also looked helpless. Ye Shenyue asked him to go fishing many times in the past few years, but in the end he always refused. But I didn't expect that there is only 1 month until the last test of Chunin, and even the opponent has a master like Gaara. What Ye Shenyue thinks is fishing. Oh, don't worry. Ye Shenyue took out 2 books, both of which were treasures caught by the fishing rod of Wanji. They are Primary Illusion Grandmaster and Intermediate Sealing Grandmaster. The Primary Illusion Grandmaster can let himself learn the Chunin level illusion, while the Intermediate Seal Grandmaster can let himself learn the Jonin level seal. Although these 2 things have great limitations, for Ye Shenyue, both are still somewhat useful. He smiled and made seals with his hands. In an instant, 5 rays of light appeared on his hand. 5 elements seal, Ye Shenyue yelled, and then directly licked Naruto's stomach. Woo, Naruto groaned 4.3, and fell to the ground directly. The seal attached by Orochimaru on the ground is also instantly released. Without the 5 elements seal, the 8-sign seal can turn the chakra from 9 tails into Naruto's own chakra. Not bad. Ye Shenyue smiled slightly. The current Naruto constitution is very good, although the grasp of chakra is still poor, but it is enough for the next training. I opened up the 8-sign seal's loophole a bit bigger, and then, the chakra of 9 tails will gradually rush out from Naruto's body. Ye Shenyue narrowed her eyes slightly. He saw Naruto's body, which was directly chakra with a layer of tail beast attached. The tailed beast appears. 086 special training begins. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. What is this? Sasuke had never seen such a thing as a tailed beast coat. The rushing chakra shocked Sasuke, this feeling. It is very similar to the oppression brought by his own curse seal. Even Naruto's expression became distorted now, and the oppressive feeling brought to Sasuke made him unable to breathe. Naruto, what's wrong with you? Sasuke was shocked, and then looked at Ye Shenyue. Hey. What are you going to do to Naruto? If you want to become stronger, you need a sparring partner first. Isn't Naruto a good sparring partner? You can choose to use all your means to try to beat Naruto. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, but if you can't beat Naruto, but will be killed by him. It's so uncomfortable. Naruto kept struggling, and his pupils turned into those of nine tails. The moment he saw Sasuke, he landed on all fours and rushed up like a beast. Damn it. This ominous chakra. With this posture, it looks like a monster. Sasuke couldn't believe that it was Naruto standing in front of him. Naruto punched Sasuke hard. Oops. Sasuke raised his arm, trying to block Sasuke's attack, but felt a terrifying force. Like a hammer, it hit his body directly. Sasuke snorted, and his body stepped backwards, flying several meters before landing on the ground. Ahem. Sasuke looked at the dust and smoke around him, and couldn't believe it. Could this be Naruto's real strength? Advertisement. Seeing that Sasuke was punched by Naruto in one-tail state, Ye Shenyue was not surprised at all. After all, Naruto's constitution, under the influence of the tailed beast chakra, has been blessed to an ultimate. If the current Sasuke does not activate the curse seal, he will not be able to defeat Naruto. However, the tailed beast chakra will also gradually destroy Naruto's body. The reason why Ye Shenyue chooses to undo Naruto's seal slightly is to make Naruto's current body able to withstand the destruction of tailed beast chakra. If Naruto has the power of chakra the tailed beast and has enough sanity, then he is definitely a super pervert guy. And Naruto's constitution is not enough to support this point, but if Ye Shenyue uses other means to gradually improve Naruto's constitution and let him get acquainted with the tailed beast chakra, then with the seal loophole left by Ye Shenyue, Naruto can definitely do whatever he wants master the tailed beast chakra. It's not so much exercising Sasuke as it is exercising Naruto. Of course, regarding Sasuke's training, Ye Shenyue also had an idea right away. And Sasuke at this moment, sitting on the ground, his eyes became incomparable. Ergoyu slowly emerged. Only Ergoyu was not enough. Ye Shenyue shook his head helplessly. And with chakra's massive urging, Sasuke's curse seal also covered the whole body. The chakra on Sasuke's body was even colder than Naruto's. He sneered and rushed straight up. The two collided fiercely, and the curse sealed chakra and the tailed beast chakra burst out continuously. In an instant, the surrounding forest was razed to the ground. Watching the two fight, Ye Shenyue stretched and continued fishing. They beat theirs, and when they are tired, they naturally rest. Advertisement. 3 hours later, Naruto and Sasuke lay down together without a trace of strength, their faces showed tired looks. Scarred all over, it's terrifying. Now the chakra leaked out of that leak was pretty much squandered by Naruto. As for Sasuke, the power of the curse seal has also reached ultimate, and his physical body can no longer support the use of the curse seal. Yeah, that's fine. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, picked up a bucket of water and poured it directly on them. In an instant, Naruto's skin immediately turned red, and the previous wounds gradually healed. Oh, it hurts. Naruto was about to pass out, but immediately jumped up, then looked at Ye Shenyue, and said with surprise, "Boss. What is this? Why does my wound hurt so much?" Sasuke also got up directly, screaming again and again. Hey, this is a special potion that can strengthen your constitution, especially after a battle, it has an extra effect. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. These are potions made of the materials he caught, which can repair the scars of the body and temper the body at the same time, making him stronger. Half an hour later, under the nourishment of the potion, their bodies had already recovered to their peak. And Naruto was stunned when he touched his bones, he seemed to have become harder. Even thicker. It's amazing. I feel like I've become stronger after the battle, Naruto said in surprise. And Sasuke was also a little surprised, he even felt that the chakra in his body became more full. Very good. Ye Shenyue smiled slightly, then brought a plate of barbecue and said, "Eat it quickly." Advertisement. This barbecue is naturally not an ordinary barbecue, and the power contained in it can also greatly enhance the strength of the flesh. It's just a great supplement. After the battle, Naruto and Sasuke were also hungry, and after a while, they ate all the roasted meat. Good guy, a beef leg was completely eaten. 513 inches Ye Shenyue gasped, but it was a good thing. After all, these two guys are still working hard on their bodies. Okay, it's over. Keep fighting. Don't stop. Ye Shenyue gave a sly smile and loosened Naruto's seal again. Looking at Naruto in the tailed beast costume, Sasuke got goosebumps all over again. How long has it been? Come again. Sasuke howled miserably, opened the curse seal again, and fought with Naruto. For the next week, Naruto and Sasuke will be in the process of fighting, soaking medicinal baths, eating barbecue, in a constant cycle. And their bodies have also become more tyrannical. After Naruto has been supplemented, he can even initially fully grasp the power of the tailed beast coat. He can even manipulate his tailed beast coat form as he likes. Although it is only one tail, its strength should not be underestimated. As for Sasuke, because his body is already strong to a new level, he can even resist the erosion of the curse seal on his physical body. The curse seal even started to have a tendency to transition to the second stage. Looking at these two people, Ye Shenyue was very pleased. These two people basically have the peak strength of Chunin. Next, Sasuke should be specially trained. Ye Shenyue smiled sinisterly. 0873 Tails. Open. Third watch. Seek to pursue. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This morning, Sasuke yawned and stood up slowly. Strange, what about Ye Shenyue and the idiot crane tail? He rubbed his eyes and looked at the sky. It stands to reason that Ye Shenyue should wake them up for training at this time. Although the content of the training is very cheating, if you are not careful, you may be directly injured by Naruto wearing a tailed beast coat, but Sasuke's progress during this period is still very significant. After all, the ability to perfectly control the first stage of the curse seal is still very terrifying. And Sasuke put his hands in his pockets, looking at the small bench by the river, his heart skipped a beat. Ye Shenyue often sat on that small bench to fish, but now there was a trace of bloodline there. This bloodline looks inconspicuous, but in Sasuke's eyes, it looks like a knife. Not good. Ye Shenyue. At the end of the crane. Where are you? Sasuke looked anxious. Could something happen to Ye Shenyue and Naruto at this time? Sasuke, are you calling me? Ye Shenyue smiled slightly and walked out of the forest. Ye Shenyue. Great, you're alive. You saw Naruto. Woo. The smile on Sasuke's face flickered, and then he froze completely. Advertisement. I saw Ye Shenyue's hand dragging Naruto's body. Ye Shenyue looked at the desperate expression on Sasuke's face, and smiled slightly. This Naruto's corpse is naturally illusion, and now Ye Shenyue wants to exert a sense of despair on Sasuke through illusion. Let him inspire his potential to reach the heights that the Uchiha family should have. You killed Naruto. Why? Sasuke trembled all over. He didn't expect that Ye Shenyue, who was still training together the previous week, even years ago, killed Naruto. You know, Ye Shenyue is the person Naruto admires the most. Oh, why? Because you really don't have the slightest importance in my eyes. Ye Shenyue then threw Naruto's body on the ground and said to Sasuke. At this moment, Sasuke's body trembled slightly, he raised his head, and the Sharingan in his eyes was slowly rotating. Come here. Ye Shenyue was excited. The three-hook jade emerges. Because of Naruto's death, Sasuke even activated the Sharingan of the three goblins. But at this moment, it seems that there is a barrier, and Sasuke's Sharingan has not continued to break through. The curse seal restrains the body's energy, making the physical energy and spiritual energy not equal. It seems that due to the existence of the curse seal, Sasuke's death alone is still unable to enable the current Sasuke to open the Mangekyo Sharingan. Ye Shenyue sighed helplessly. After training for so long, Sasuke's affection for Naruto should be enough, but if this is the case, then he can only continue to put pressure on Sasuke. The way you look now is just like what your big brother said, just rubbish. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly. Uchiha Itachi simply surpassed you by countless times. What? You saw that man? Sasuke gritted his teeth, and the curse marks all over his body exuded scarlet, like the light of a branding iron. Suddenly, he thumped directly, fell to his knees, and kept screaming. Advertisement. Now Sasuke's body has been continuously eroded by the curse mark, the skin all over his body has become dull, and there seems to be a cross-shaped pattern growing on the bridge of his nose. The clothes were also suddenly torn, and the two tiny wings like duck feet gradually swelled. Okay, we're about to enter the second stage of the curse seal. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly, it seemed that his current stimulation had an effect. The mental energy suddenly increased significantly, breaking the original balance of mental energy and physical energy, and the surging physical energy even directly broke through the barrier of the second stage of the curse seal. Looking at it now, today's Sasuke is really extraordinary. Come on, let me see how much potential you have now. Ye Shenyue looked very pleasantly surprised. If you want to pass through the second stage of the curse seal, you will have to experience great pain, but Sasuke's current strong body allows him to bear such strength. Sasuke stood up slowly, and the three-tomo Sharingan in his eyes was particularly focused. Is it still three-hook jade? Ye Shenyue smiled faintly, but even if it is like this, it is enough. You can do it. Kill Naruto. Even with that man, I'm going to kill you. Sasuke roared, his figure instantly transformed into a purple light, and rushed towards Ye Shenyue. Faced with such an offensive, Ye Shenyue was also a little surprised, this simply touched the scope of Jonin's strength. Through the curse seal, and even directly breaking through the barrier from Shunin to Jonin, the potential of Sasuke is really not only that. Hey, I ate so many good things from Laozi. Sure enough, it was not in vain. Ye Shenyue seemed very pleasantly surprised. Suddenly, a golden light shone on her leg. Backquote. Flash kick. Ye Shenyue yelled loudly, kicked hard, and directly kicked Sasuke's body. Boom. Advertisement. This kick directly landed on Sasuke's fist. Boom. Sasuke burst back immediately. There was also a hint of surprise in his eyes, it's actually much stronger than the current me. Sasuke didn't expect that Ye Shenyue was so powerful now. This week, Ye Shenyue naturally has not been idle, and is still subtly improving his strength. Now he is still a piece of cake to deal with a Sasuke. It seems that Duan Yi, the second level of curse seal, did not cause any damage to the body. Not bad. This body is already great. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, and then landed on Sasuke's body with a flying knee. Sasuke let out a muffled snort, and was directly smashed to the ground, and the rocks under his body were also torn apart. Amidst the billowing smoke and dust, Sasuke saw in surprise that Ye Shenyue had already used a golden dagger across his neck. Damn it, it's already so powerful. Sasuke was very surprised. At this moment, the picture in front of him also became illusory. I saw that Naruto was hiding not far away and looking at him, but Ye Shenyue was still pressing on him. Naruto, what's going on? Sasuke still didn't turn the corner. I used illusion to fake Naruto's death, and then used Uchiha Itachi to provoke your mind, and use this to stimulate your potential. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, not bad. This kind of strength is enough. Is everything fake? Sasuke also felt relieved, and directly untied his Sharingan in the second stage of the seal. But reminiscing about his own strength, a trace of excitement appeared in Sasuke's eyes. 088 Want to learn Rasengan. 4 more. Seek to pursue. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Naruto. How? I already have such great power. Sasuke looked very excited. Naruto smiled disdainfully and said, that's all. My power is stronger than yours. The current Naruto is controllable even with the tail beast coat of the two tails. Naruto with the tail beast chakra is no worse than the current Sasuke. But for Ye Shenyue, having these is far from enough. You must know that there are still 3 weeks before the third exam class. Ye Shenyue would still be dissatisfied if she went to take the exam in this state. He formed seals with both hands, and the sealing formula appeared in his hands instantly. Little Naruto, see how wild your power is. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly, and directly opened a corner of the seal again. Immediately, infinite power poured into Naruto's body directly. The more violent power than before is also held on Naruto. At this moment, Naruto trembled all over, and then the tail beast coat appeared again. This time, it's 3 tails. 3 tails. Sasuke suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Naruto's tail beast coat adds a tail every time 400, but it is a qualitative change. This time with the 3 tails, Sasuke was speechless. Ye Shenyue, you're ruthless. Sasuke gritted his teeth, the Sharingan in his pupil spun rapidly, and immediately opened the second stage of the spell. In the second stage, Sasuke's strength soared to a new level again, and Naruto fought again in the dark. That's great. Ye Shenyue nodded in satisfaction, sitting aside and fishing. After a whole day, Sasuke and Naruto were also directly tired and lay on the ground, panting heavily. Advertisement. They have now returned to their normal state, and they have no strength left. Sasuke was about to take a break when he saw Ye Shenyue walking over again with a bucket full of potions. Here we go again. Sasuke wants to cry but has no tears. In the following days, I once again entered the fulfilling life of the previous training. Every day, Sasuke and Naruto are bruised from training, and then soak in medicinal baths and eat various foods that can strengthen their constitution. Their strength is also growing at a rapid rate. And a week later, Kakashi looked at Sasuke with doubts on his face. He said to Ye Shenyue, do you really want me to teach Sasuke Chidori? Kakashi is not surprised that Ye Shenyue knows that he has ninjutsu like Chidori, but he still hasn't made up his mind. Because Chidori's difficulty is A-level ninjutsu, the training cycle is very long. And it is only half a month before the end of Chunon's exam, half a month for him to teach Sasuke Chidori. Kakashi simply has no confidence at all. Ms. Kakashi, don't underestimate the Uchiha clan. Sasuke snorted coldly, with dissatisfaction on his face. Now he is very confident in his own strength. Okay, then I'll teach you. How much you can learn depends entirely on your ability. Kakashi sighed helplessly. Boss, since Sasuke can learn new ninjutsu, when can I learn new ninjutsu? Naruto said dissatisfied. Now he still wants to learn a new ninjutsu. After all, even Sasuke has started to practice Chidori, and now Naruto also wants to master a new ninjutsu. Want to practice new ninjutsu? Of course, no problem. Advertisement. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly. Now Naruto wants to practice new ninjutsu. Simple. After all, Naruto's strength has grown tremendously during this period of time. As long as he follows himself to find someone. Follow me. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. Konoha village, outside the bathhouse. A man with white hair and wearing a red coat was squatting ACBD in a corner and smiling obscenely. Hey. This person is Jiraiya. Jiraiya is currently looking for inspiration for his own love paradise, when suddenly he saw someone pat him on the back. Jiraiya provoked immediately, and looked at Ye Shenyue suspiciously. Hey boy, who are you? Jiraiya was still very concerned about his good deed being interrupted, and he looked at Ye Shenyue dissatisfied. And Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, pointed to Naruto beside him and said, this little guy has very good qualifications, do you want to accept him as an apprentice? Jiraiya was taken aback by the sudden request. He looked at Ye Shenyue and touched his chin. Does this kid know he's one of the Sannin? It seems that after I retired, I still left a new legendary in the children's generation. Why should I accept him as an apprentice? Jiraiya still waved his hand, obviously he still didn't like Naruto. Advertisement. Hey, boss, are you asking this perverted old man to teach me ninjutsu? No matter how he looks at it, he is unreliable. Naruto pointed at Jiraiya and yelled. As for Jiraiya's rejection of herself, Ye Shenyue was not surprised at all. He folded his arms and smiled confidently. Jiraiya, I will let you agree. As soon as the words fell, Ye Shenyue directly took out a row of large books. The contents of the book can be said to be extremely fragrant. Various genres, various themes, everything you need. This is. Jiraiya stared wide-eyed while holding the book, and unconsciously shed nosebleeds. Let me do the math, Mr. Kakashi, the old man of third generation, plus Jiraiya, there are 3 people. Ye Shenyue pressed his forehead helplessly, so many people are interested in this kind of books. It is simply a moral decline. The world is going downhill. Ahem. Jiraiya cleared his throat, accepted the book, and said, hey, I don't even know his name, how can I teach him ninjutsu? Ye Shenyue smiled lightly. Naruto. Jiraiya pondered for a moment, then said in a deep voice, in that case, what ninjutsu do you want me to teach him? This name still has some impression on Jiraiya, so he still has to be a little serious. Rasengan. And it will take half a month, let them master Rasengan. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. Half a month. Jiraiya was shocked, half a month is not enough to practice ninjutsu like Rasengan. Letting Naruto half a month to master Rasengan is just a joke. But Ye Shenyue is very confident. This Naruto, Rasengan after special training with himself, is more than enough. Rasengan. Naruto was taken aback. What kind of ninjutsu? Is it very powerful? 089 Change the soup but not the medicine. 1 update. Please subscribe. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the next half month, Naruto followed Jiraiya to practice summoning technique in Rasengan. And Sasuke also learned how to use Chidori from Kakashi. During this month, the strength of the two of them has undergone earth-shaking changes. As for Ye Shenyue himself, he still spends leisurely fishing and drinking tea every day as before. It's okay to flirt. Look at Ino and Hinata. In such a flash, the time of half a month is fleeting. Half a month later, outside the venue for the 3rd round of Chunin exams. Ye Shenyue led Sasuke and Naruto slowly into the examination venue. Besides the three of them, the remaining four candidates from Konoha also walked over slowly. It's Neji and them. Uzumaki Naruto's eyes widened. Naruto, after undergoing Jiraiya's Hell-style training, only took half a month to successfully master Rasengan. This point shocked Jiraiya too. This is also the effect of Ye Shenyue's previous Hell-style training. And Neji, who successfully advanced in the third round of exams, also came over. He looked at Ye Shenyue and said, 1 month has passed, I don't know if you have made any progress. Why? Advertisement. After all, a trace of fighting spirit flashed in Neji's eyes. Ye Shenyue smiled slightly. In the first round of the third round of exams, he played against Neji. This Neji's strength is not that simple, it can even be said to be at the level of a genius. If there is anyone among the genins in Konoha who can check and balance Shaoli, Neji is probably the only one left. Ye Shenyue looked at Neji with his hands in his pockets. It's enough to deal with you. Neji, I'll let you directly fail the first test. After Neji glanced at Naruto and Sasuke behind him, he smiled lightly. Ye Shenyue, I hope you have this strength. After all, he walked into the competition field slowly. At this time, Ino said in surprise, Ye Shenyue, we haven't seen each other for a month. Do you miss me? Obviously, after a month of training, Tianyi also had a deeper understanding of his opponent Tian. Little Ino, I didn't expect to see you. Ye Shenyue raised his eyebrows, and directly hugged Ino into his arms. Ino in his arms, originally a tough look, became delicate at this moment. Mr. Ye Shenyue, what are you doing? Ino shyly punched Ye Shenyue's chest. Hey, Ye Shenyue smirked, pinched Ino's face, and said to Ino, do you know that Sunagaker guy with a gourd on his back? I'm going to beat that guy for you to see. The guy with the gourd on his back, is it Gaara? Ino recalled the battle between Gaara and Shaoli, and couldn't help shaking. In her eyes, Gaara was still a very scary guy. Ye Shenyue Junjun, is it okay? Gaara is a tough guy. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a figure slowly walking past Ye Shenyue. This figure is none other than Gaara. After sweeping Yan lightly with his head, he walked into the playing field. The current Gaara still doesn't seem to take Ye Shenyue seriously. Advertisement. This guy is getting more and more defiant. Sasuke narrowed his eyes slightly. I must defeat him with my own hands. Then, he looked at his hands with a smug smile on his face. In half a month, with the assistance of Sharingan, Sasuke has already mastered Chidori's power. Even the form of the second stage of the curse seal has been completely stabilized. The current strength of Sasuke is not comparable to that of ordinary ninjas. After opening the second stage of the curse seal, it is simply a killing monster. And Naruto is now in a state where he can easily control the tail beast coat, and his strength is no less than Sasuke. Hey, it's interesting. I don't know if this Gaara can defeat the two of them. Ye Shenyue squeezed her neck and moved her joints. Within the Chunin examination venue. The venue for the third round was a huge building with tall stands built around it. And Hokage is also sitting in the most central position overlooking the crowd. On the side, a man wearing a cage hat with the lower half of his face covered by a black cloth, accompanied by a group of guards, walked towards third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at fourth cage with a polite smile on his face. 0. Ask for flowers. The journey is tiring, thank you for your hard work, coming to Konoha village from the land of winds. Feng Ying looked very strange, and said in a low voice, where is it? It is better to hold the Chunin exam in Konoha village. You are already old, and if you travel far away, I am afraid that your health will not be able to bear it, so it is better to be a candidate for the 5th generation earlier. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled, sat down on a chair beside him, and said, don't treat me like an old man. It's time for a competition. Haha, yes, advertisement. Cage glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen. But Ye Shenyue squinted his eyes and took a look at Cage. This person should be the 4th Cage that Orochimaru pretended to be. The real Cage should be dead by now. And Sasuke also noticed a little abnormality. Looking at the surrounding stands, there are many masked ninjas guarding the side, which is extremely strange. These should be people from Anbu. Strange, just a Chunin exam, why so serious? Sasuke looked very surprised. If it was normal, it would not be so many Anbu guarding here. Ye Shenyue seemed indifferent. Anyway, these people would not touch her. When the examiner who saw this test was Shiranui Genma, Ye Shenyue almost understood that Konoha might have noticed something abnormal about Sunagaker. The examiner of the previous qualifiers, Moonlight Galawind, is logically the examiner of the third exam. But now he may have died in Sunagaker. The Chunin exam this time is indeed not normal. Okay, thank you all for coming here to participate in the Chunin exam held by our Konoha village, and now let the following contestants participate in the official Chunin selection competition. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked very happy and said loudly. Shiranui Genma also took out the list and said, the first match. Hyuga Neji vs. Ye Shenyue. Neji walked towards the center of the field slowly, looking very relaxed. And Ye Shenyue also put his hands in his pockets and looked at Neji, with a little smile on his face. Neji, how do you want to lose? I can satisfy you. Arrogance. Neji said through gritted teeth. Chapter 090 Revolving Heaven's Weakness. Second update. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the stands, Ino looked at Ye Shenyue worriedly. Neji is a genius of the Hyuga clan, no genin can defeat Neji. When Ino knew that Ye Shenyue's enemy was Neji, he also collected a lot of information about Neji. But it was precisely because of this that she became more and more worried about Ye Shenyue. It's okay. Boss will beat him easily. Naruto clenched his fists with excitement on his face. Boss, hit that guy, Naruto yelled. For Ye Shenyue, Naruto is full of confidence. Idiot. Seeing Naruto's elated look, Sasuke gave him a dissatisfied look, and then focused on Ye Shenyue. Come on Ye Shenyue, let me see if you have any flaws. And on the battlefield, Neji looked at Ye Shenyue, taking the May 17th out of a fighting posture. Ye Shenyue, I've heard about you. You are the most powerful among the 10 newcomers this time. I also want to meet you and see how much you weigh. When Ye Shenyue easily defeated Ya in the qualifiers, many people also swept away their previous judgments on Ye Shenyue. This Ye Shenyue is really more evil than they imagined. But Ye Shenyue looked at Hyuga Neji and just smiled lightly, then put his hands together. Laser rays. A ray of light gathered on Ye Shenyue's palm, and immediately turned into a ray of light and shot towards Neji. Everyone just felt that a ray of light flashed by, and they saw a powerful force and rushed towards Neji. HMPH. Is this the strength of the strongest rookie? Advertisement. Hyuga Neji shouted, 8 revolving heaven. Neji poured chakra into the acupuncture points all over his body and shot it out, and spun rapidly. It is like a spinning top itself, the semi-ellipsoidal chakra directly blocks the laser light. Boom. Smoke and dust surge. Neji immediately took several steps back and staggered a few times. How is it possible? Even revolving heaven can't completely resist this move. Neji seemed a bit shocked. According to his own understanding, only Sasuke and Gaara could be his opponents in the third test. But the strength shown by Ye Shenyue may be even better than he imagined. It seems that I underestimated you. Neji smiled faintly, and once again put on a fighting stance. Only this time, his hands were a little scorched black, which was exactly the scar from Ye Shenyue's laser beam bombardment just now. As that's so, Ye Shenyue pinched his chin, looking very curious. Revolving heaven can't even block my laser light, it's just a pity. What a pity. Neji was a little puzzled. Ye Shenyue explained. Although it can resist physical attacks, if it penetrates your defense, can you still block it? Penetrate my defense. Neji was a little puzzled. How is that possible? It is impossible for my defense to be penetrated by you. Neji knows that his white eyes are not perfect, it's just that an opponent like Ye Shenyue should not be able to figure out his weakness. You know, as a member of the branch house, Neji's revolving heaven has a loophole, but he never thought that Ye Shenyue would know this secret and find his loophole. Don't get excited. I'm not trying to attack the blind spots behind you. Ye Shenyue buttoned his ears, it's just that your white eyes are almost just a decoration to me. Otherwise, you'll be optimistic. Advertisement. Hearing this sentence, Neji frowned slightly. Do you really know that my white eyes have loopholes? In the next second, look at Ye Shenyue and run towards Neji. But Neji was confident. He sneered. Although my white eyes have loopholes, my Shangwu can make up for this blind spot. You're doomed. Cut. Ye Shenyue sneered disdainfully. He was the one who was too lazy to find Neji's loopholes. He stretched out his fist, and the golden light flashed on the fist. Punch Neji hard in the face. Faced with this sudden punch, Neji's eyes widened, as if he never thought that he would choose such a brutal attack method. As that's so, you're dead. Neji smiled confidently, and then spun around again. Revolving heaven. Watching Neji release revolving heaven again, Naruto also became nervous. Boss. His move is simply too hateful. It's almost invulnerable. Seeing Neji use the chakra hood produced by revolving heaven, Sasuke also frowned. I heard that Neji is the only genius in the branch house who comprehended revolving heaven on his own. This guy should not be underestimated. What everyone didn't expect was that Ye Shenyue directly stretched his hand through Neji's chakra hood. Ye Shenyue's body is condensed by photons, which can pass through all attacks. Just a chakra hood still has no way to restrain the current Ye Shenyue. Company. My revolving heaven. Advertisement. Neji's eyes widened, and for a moment he thought something was wrong with his revolving heaven. But seeing this, Ye Shenyue directly punched Neji in the face. Boom. Neji immediately flew upside down. It hit the ground with a bang, and the earth and stone ground was torn apart. Ahem. Neji leaned against the wall behind him and wiped the wound on the corner of his mouth, looking very shocked. My revolving heaven actually failed. Kakashi in the stands looked at Ye Shenyue carefully, and became curious, is this the limit of his blood successor? It really is a bit powerful. Even ninjutsu like revolving heaven can penetrate it. And Guy, standing next to Kakashi, also gave a thumbs up and said in surprise, Kakashi. It seems that your youth has not passed away. You found this precious apprentice. Hey, I've never taught him ninjutsu, okay. Kakashi said dissatisfied. All the abilities that Ye Shenyue possesses at 3.3 now are obtained through his own hard work. And Neji stood up unsteadily, snorted coldly, and said unwillingly, it seems that you really deserve your reputation. You are a genius in that legendary. It's just that you will definitely lose to me today. Seeing Ye Shenyue rushing towards him again, Neji also let out a drink, saying, gentle fist. I saw his punch directly aimed at Ye Shenyue's vital parts, and he punched out. This punch seemed to be able to directly pass through the body and crush Ye Shenyue's internal organs. But unexpectedly, Ye Shenyue's body went straight through this punch. Then I saw him slap Neji directly on the face. You lost. Ye Shenyue smiled confidently, and then slammed Neji to the ground. With a bang, the smoke and dust surged and rolled out. Chapter 091 Illusion. Third watch. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kakashi was also slightly shocked when he saw Ye Shenyue go through Neji's attack. Can even gentle fist penetrate? It's a terrible blood successor limit. The next moment, he saw Neji fall to the ground, with a deep hole punched out of his back. How is it possible? Neji still seemed unable to believe that the current Ye Shenyue could have such power. Neji, you lost. Ye Shenyue knelt down and looked at Neji, and said calmly. At this time, Neji's body was almost impossible to move, and facing Ye Shenyue, it was almost difficult to stand up again. When Shiranui Genma saw Neji lose his ability to fight, he also announced to everyone, the first competition. Ye Shenyue wins. At this moment, the audience burst into cheers. They've always thought of Neji as an almost impossible to beat talent. But now it seems that maybe things are not like this. There's another guy who's even more talented. Defeated Neji. Orochimaru, who pretended to be the fourth cage, looked at Ye Shenyue and smiled. The atmosphere is really warm, there are so many cheering audiences. Sarutobi Hiruzen on the side also smiled softly, that's because this is a wonderful game. Oh 2. Ye Shenyue used his own blood inheriting boundary, even preventing Neji from attacking a corner of his clothes. This viewing effect can be said to be amazing. But Orochimaru shook his head slowly. No, the next game will be the most exciting game. You mean the match between Sasuke and Shikamaru? Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned slightly. It seems that the fourth cage in front of him seems to be very interested in Sasuke. It's just that he is still not sure about the identity of his opponent. Advertisement. The stands. Ye Shenyue took off her dusty coat and handed it to Hinata, who had been waiting for a long time. Ah, I haven't done it for a long time, I'm not used to it. Ye Shenyue stretched her body, looking very comfortable. Ye Shenyue. Hinata blushed. Ye Shenyue's clothes are dirty, let me wash them for you. Then he raised his head and looked at Ye Shenyue with big eyes, as if asking for Ye Shenyue's approval. Regarding Hinata's request, Ye Shenyue naturally has no opinion. Hinata can do whatever she wants, not to mention helping me with my laundry, even this clothes can be given to you. Ye Shenyue smiled softly. Hearing Ye Shenyue's words, a blush appeared on Hinata's face. Really? This is the clothes that smell like Mr. Ye Shenyue. Hinata hugged the clothes and seemed very happy. On the other hand, Sasuke looked extraordinary and jumped off the stands. Hey, Shikamaru, let me show you the results of my cultivation. Sasuke stood in the middle of the field and yelled at Shikamaru, who was still in the stands. This guy is such a headache. Shikamaru held his forehead, with a face of reluctance. I don't want to fight him. It's so troublesome. He stretched out his hand, just about to abstain, when he saw Naruto push Shikamaru. Come on Shikamaru, give this damn guy a good meal. Thump. Shikamaru fell directly from the stands, falling all over the place. He rubbed his head and looked at Sasuke, sighed, forget it, it seems that we can only fight. As soon as the words fell, he directly threw out several kunai and threw them at Sasuke. Advertisement. As Sasuke of the Uchiha clan, he has long mastered items such as shurikens and kunai. He didn't even open the Sharingan, and then threw out 2 shurikens, directly knocking away the kunai thrown by Shikamaru. Shikamaru couldn't help but frown. Tisk, my kunai are useless. But at this moment, Sasuke smiled lightly and made a mudra with both hands. Its speed even surpasses the average Jonin. What a fast printing speed. Orochimaru's voice was a little low. This genin is really interesting. Quote. Seeing that fourth cage has always been interested in Sasuke, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but look at Orochimaru twice. It seems that fourth cage is really interested in Sasuke, but who is most interested in Sasuke in the current situation? Sarutobi Hiruzen Ji is thinking of something. But at this moment, I saw Sasuke forming mudras with both hands, gathering the chakra in his body, shouting loudly, and said, fire style. Dragon fire technique. Then I saw a pillar of fire like a long dragon, it directly burned Shikamaru. Everything along the way was ignited one after another, and immediately turned into a sea of flames. What a powerful fire style. Shikamaru couldn't help but widen his eyes, there are so many chakra. You know, the power of fire style is linked to the amount of chakra. Being able to have such a fire style already shows that the current strength of Sasuke has indeed surpassed the ordinary genin. As expected of the Uchiha clan, the mastery of fire style is simply pervert. Shikamaru hurriedly jumped to avoid the dragon fire technique, but saw Sasuke rushing in front of him again. Shikamaru, this is the arena, I won't let you down. Sasuke gave a warning, and then punched Shikamaru hard in the chest. Shikamaru's face turned pale instantly, and then he flew out directly. Advertisement. With a bang, it hit the ground in an instant. It's not over yet. Sasuke crossed his leg again, drew an arc, and smashed Shikamaru's shoulder. Really? Shikamaru looked at the blow, and his heart skipped a beat. If he was hit directly, he would either be killed or injured. Absolutely cannot be hit by such an attack. Shikamaru was ruthless secretly, and made 200 hand mudras. In an instant, a shadow was directly connected to the shadow under Sasuke. Shadow imitation technique, Shikamaru shouted, with a trace of cold sweat streaming down his face. Oops. At this moment, Sasuke seemed to realize that he was careless. It was actually controlled by the opponent at this distance. Sasuke, you should know what it means to be hit by the shadow imitation technique at such a distance. If you want to admit defeat, there is still time. Shikamaru forced a smile. Although he said so, it is actually not easy to control Sasuke. Shikamaru even felt a little bit out of strength, and couldn't help but sigh what kind of pervert this Sasuke is. Control it, you actually want to tire yourself out like this. I saw the shadow slowly crawling along Sasuke's ankle to his neck, ready to twist his neck directly. It's not over yet. Sasuke's eyes turned blood red, and 3 Tomo Sharingan appeared immediately. Under the scarlet eyes, Shikamaru's eyes suddenly went blank, as if he couldn't see anything. At this time, his shadow imitation technique was instantly dispelled. Did you fall into the illusion? Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise. Sasuke actually developed the Sharingan to the level of the 3-god Jade. He practiced with me for half a month and I didn't find out. 092 You're so ridiculous. For more, please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sasuke released Shikamaru's control even though the illusion's control was only for a moment. By the time Shikamaru reacted, he had already been kicked by Sasuke and flew out. Shikamaru let out a muffled grunt, his chest seemed to be shattered, and he got up after enduring the pain, and looked at Sasuke's 3 Tomo Sharingan in amazement. Your Sharingan has developed to the 3-pointed jade. Shikamaru also did not expect that the current Sasuke turned out to be the Sharingan with the 3-pointed jade. Sasuke snorted coldly, and said indifferently, it's just 3 hook jade, don't you think it's so strong? Looking at Sasuke's Sharingan, Inkasi was also extremely surprised. He owns Obito's Sharingan, so he naturally knows how difficult it is to practice Sharingan. Even after so many years, he still hasn't brought his Sharingan to ultimate, but now Sasuke seems to be about to surpass himself in the use of Sharingan. He practiced with Ye Shenyue for half a month, what happened? Kakashi was very surprised. After half a month of practice, this guy is not like the previous Sasuke. And Orochimaru couldn't hide his excitement when he looked at Sasuke. He has always regarded Sasuke as his perfect container, and looking at it now, it really is perfect to the extreme. At a young age, he opened the Sharingan of the 3 hook jade, and now Orochimaru likes Sasuke more and more. However, he also quickly caught a trace of abnormality. Strange, this is the smell of the second stage of the curse of the sky, how could he have this ability? Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly, he felt the power of the second stage of the curse seal from Sasuke, but according to the usual reasoning, the current Sasuke should not have such power. Seems like some extra surprise. Orochimaru smiled slightly. Sarutobi Hiruzen at the side looked at Orochimaru and said, Master Kazekage, do you have any opinion on this Sasuke? Sasuke. Orochimaru looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, his voice was still very low, he looks very good, he is a perfect guy. Advertisement. At this moment, Shikamaru was in pain all over his body, squatting in the corner with his hands in mudra. This time, the shadow imitation technique was desperately looking for the opponent's loopholes again, ready to control the opponent at any time. And Sasuke naturally won't do what he wants, the speed of this shadow simply can't keep up with the current speed of Sasuke. Shikamaru gritted his teeth slightly, waved a kunai, and instantly nailed Sasuke. And at the moment when Kuu flew out, he formed seals with both hands again. For a moment, the shadow was connected to kunai's shadow, and the extended shadow chased Sasuke. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Sasuke's eyes changed, he stopped drinking, and immediately spit out a mouthful of flames. The huge fireball instantly burst into intense light, dispelling the shadows. Oops. Shikamaru was immediately surprised, this Sasuke's chakra seemed to be a little too much. Originally, the opponent had the 3 Tomo Sharingan, which could see through his own actions, and even grant him illusions. Now the opponent's chakra, not so simple. It's just too disgusting. The shock of the explosion whipped up flames and burned towards Shikamaru. Shikamaru covered his face, almost refusing to look directly. He retreated crazily to avoid being engulfed by the flames. Phew, I'm scared to death. Shikamaru gasped. Shikamaru was silent for a moment. Then he raised his hand and said, I abstain. Advertisement. What? Genma Shiranui looked at Shikamaru, are you serious? Shikamaru nodded, that's right, this guy is too strong. Now I have no chance of winning at all. Do I have to wait for him to beat me up before admitting defeat? After using the shadow imitation technique a few times, Shikamaru's chakra itself is less than half left, but now Sasuke has released a few ninjutsu, but it seems that there is no serious problem. It's clear at a glance if you stand high and low. Okay, Genma Shiranui nodded, Shikamaru admit defeat. Sasuke wins. I'm in trouble. Shikamaru ran away in a hurry. Sasuke snorted coldly, he still had more means that he didn't show. Now it seems that I have no chance. It's disgusting. Kakashi looked at Shikamaru who was walking in a hurry, and sighed, is this the end? Yes, his opponent should be that guy named Gaara. Maybe apart from Gaara, no one can check and balance Sasuke. On the stands, Orochimaru's face showed a hint of joy. After seeing Sasuke and Shikamaru fight just now, Orochimaru's interest in Sasuke is getting stronger. How about our Konoha ninjas? Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled at Orochimaru. Orochimaru nodded, not bad, that's great. It's my favorite type. But Shiranui Genma took the list and shouted again. Match 3. Naruto vs. Gaara. After all, Gaara slowly walked to the playing field with the gourd on his back. Advertisement. His expression can be said to be extremely vicious now, and he still remembers the battle with Xiao Li before. Gaara still can't forget that she was almost killed by Xiao Li. Konoha's ninja, it's so boring. Gaara looked at Naruto with a ferocious face, it seems that the current Naruto still can't make him interested. Naruto narrowed his eyes, scratched his head, and said, Gaara, are you looking down on me? Gaara nodded without hesitation, stop talking. I'm going to kill you. Kakashi looked at Gaara, still showing a trace of heaviness on his face. Is it Gaara? Trouble. Gaara snorted coldly, then waved. Countless sands flowed out slowly like a liquid, gathering to form a Nuoma's clone. A clone made of sand. Naruto, will not give up. Although Naruto knew that his opponent was still very strong, he still gritted his teeth, you know, my training this month is not a vegetarian. As soon as the words fell, he made seals with both hands, shouted loudly, and said, shadow clone technique. Boom. The smoke dissipated, and dozens of clones appeared around Naruto. You have a sand clone, I have a shadow clone, we have to see whose clone is more powerful. Although Naruto said so, what he expected most was to be able to use the unique skills he cultivated. That's Rasengan. Looking at Naruto's avatar, Gaara smiled disdainfully, it's just a group of avatars, they are simply too weak. With a wave of the clone's hand, countless sands condensed into dozens of sharp blades that could pierce through everything, and smashed towards Naruto himself. 093 Raging Gaara. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Dozens of sand and dust blades condensed in midair at this moment. In Naruto's eyes, these dusty blades are like sharp swords, as if they could pierce through him at any time. Sasuke looked at Naruto, and also seemed very worried, with Naruto's strength, can he compete with him? Now it seems that it is still difficult for him to really defeat this damn guy. Sasuke clenched his fists. He knew that Gaara was not a good stubble, precisely because of this appearance. His biggest target in the Chunin exam was actually Gaara. Ye Shenyue squinted his eyes slightly and looked at Uzumaki Naruto. Now Naruto, it's up to him to defeat Gaara. Naruto can now use the Tail Beast Coat, and can even turn on the Two-Tails state, so turning on Wang Xing's Star Beast Coat for a short time will not be greatly affected. And Naruto looked at Gaara, seeming to be full of confidence. He gave a shout, and all the avatars rushed towards Gaara, as if ignoring the sand and dust blade released by Gaara. Is that the only way? It can't hurt me now. Gaara smiled viciously, waved his big hand, and directly manipulated the dust blade, stabbing at all the clones of Naruto together. The current Gaara just wanted to wipe out all these clones on the spot. 397 at that time, even if Naruto's main body is hidden in it, it will have no effect at all. HMPH. Don't underestimate me. Naruto clasped his hands together and let out a loud shout. The Nine-Tails chakra leaked from the seal inside the body surged instantly. I saw that he was directly wearing a Tail Beast coat. Not only that, even on the avatar, there is a Tail Beast coat surging. Scarlet's ominous chakra plundered directly in the center of the battlefield, and countless hurricanes mixed with sand and stones rushed towards countless sand and dust blades. What? This power? A trace of surprise flashed in Gaara's eyes, and he felt a trace of malice from Nine-Tails chakra. Advertisement. It even affected the One-Tail Shuhei in his body. He covered his head and felt a sharp headache. The sand and dust blades stagnated in the air for a moment, and were instantly scattered by the Nine-Tails chakra released by Naruto. Go to hell. The nails on Naruto's hands grew like fox claws, and they slammed into Gaara's body. There was a loud click. Most of the sand armor on Gaara's chest was swept away. At this time Gaara's eyes also flashed a hint of disbelief. It's so fast, even the sand armor didn't even react. Gaara flew out all over her body, and rolled on the ground several times before stopping her body. When he stood up, there were already some small scratches on his body. Damn guy. Gaara gritted her teeth, seeming to be angry. Kakashi saw the tail beast chakra emanating from Naruto, thought it was a broken seal, and almost subconsciously wanted to control Naruto to prevent Naruto from going berserk. But when he saw that Naruto seemed to be able to perfectly control the power of the tail beast chakra, he couldn't help but take a breath. This guy, when did he master the tail beast chakra? Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression was also slightly surprised. This chakra's feeling is 9 tails, that's right. When did he master the power of 9 tails? HMPH, it still looks good now. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly. And Gaara stood up slowly, only to see the sand on his body falling layer by layer, which seemed extremely terrifying. He touched the blood on his body, and his whole body seemed to be shaking constantly. Can you even hurt me? You trash. Advertisement. As soon as the words fell, he roared and clasped his two palms directly. Countless sands twisted together, turning into countless small hands with the frequency of the storm's attack, and suddenly swept towards Uzumaki Naruto. Sand shuriken. Gaara yelled, and saw countless sand shurikens piercing more than 10 clones one after another. Damn it, if things go on like this, my avatar will run out soon. Naruto dodged the sand shuriken, then quickly thought about how to deal with the monster Gaara. In just a moment, Naruto's clone was completely consumed, and finally only Naruto's body remained. And there were a few scars on his body, but under the effect of the tail beast coat, the scars were also recovering quickly. It seems that I really need to use some real skills. Naruto smiled confidently, and the tail beast chakra on his body was also constantly gathering. Do you think I will let you succeed? Gaara smiled, and saw the sand under Naruto's feet suddenly sprang up and turned into a huge sand clone, binding Naruto's hands and feet. Oops, I can't move. Naruto gritted his teeth, struggling constantly. The sand shuriken just now was just paving the way, and now you are sure to die. Gaara sneered, sand-bound coffin. The body of the sand clone gradually melted into sand, binding Naruto. Only in the gaps, some tail beast chakra began to spread at this time. Oops, that idiot will die. Sasuke clenched his fists instantly, his eyes became extremely concerned. He was still worried that Naruto would die here. Don't worry, he can't die. If he dies here, he won't be Uzumaki Naruto. Ye Shenyue crossed his arms and smiled confidently. This month's special training was tailor-made for the two of them, and he couldn't believe that Uzumaki Naruto couldn't even resist this. Advertisement. Although the sand-bound coffin is extremely terrifying, it can even crush Naruto in a normal state. But Naruto now is not unusual at all. The scarlet light in Naruto's eyes gradually became fiercer, and chakra on his body was also ready to move. Tail beast chakra was pushed to ultimate again. I can't die here. Uzumaki Naruto roared loudly, and the tail beast chakra in his body rioted again. I saw 3 tails directly breaking through the sand and floating out of the body. The scarlet chakra, like 3 long snakes, twisted and twisted in midair. Die. Gaara didn't dare to worry anymore, and clenched her fists tightly. The sand vibrated violently, but no matter what, it was impossible to take a step forward. What's going on? The sand-binding coffin can't kill him. Gaara's eyes widened. At this moment, the arm wrapped around the tail beast chakra smashed a piece of sand in front of it. The sand was squeezed tightly by Gaara like a discus, but it was still easily crushed by Naruto. Gaara, I must beat you. Uzumaki Naruto's voice became extremely heavy and hoarse. In the tailed beast chakra, the sound of liquid boiling can be heard continuously, which makes people feel anxious. 094 We all have monsters inside of us. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Interesting. Very interesting. Gaara looked at Naruto who had turned on the 3 tails tail beast coat in front of him, his expression twisted instantly. Is this your real face? Naruto. Three tails. Sasuke looked at Naruto, and couldn't help but frown. This guy is crazy. How long can the current Naruto maintain the three-tails state? Ye Shenyue glanced at Sasuke, and said disdainfully, you have been fighting with him for so long, don't you know? You mean, 10 minutes. Is 10 minutes enough to beat that guy? Sasuke was a little confused. The seal hole opened by Ye Shenyue was extremely cautious, and only reserved a 10-minute zone. If the battle is still not over after 10 minutes, the nine-tails chakra in Naruto's body will be exhausted, and he can only return to his normal state to fight. Moreover, the side effects of nine-tails chakra will also appear at that time, and there will be a short period of kidney deficiency at that time. Hey, it took only half a month to go from knowing nothing about nine-tails chakra to being able to use the power of nine-tails chakra initially. Naruto is already pretty good. Ye Shenyue shook his head helplessly. It's just a pity, there is still a long way to go before fully using nine-tails chakra a while, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Then how powerful will he be if he fully uses nine-tails chakra? Sasuke was taken aback, and asked in doubt, can I lift him up and pump him in the second stage of the curse seal? Quote. Ye Shenyue was silent for a moment. Come on, there may be a glimmer of hope. Quote. In the battlefield, Gaara clasped his hands together, and the extremely hard sand condensed on his back turned into chains and tightly wrapped around Naruto's limbs. Like several long snakes, it continuously spread over Naruto's body. Go away. Naruto gritted his teeth, and the three tails smashed the chain of sand and dust severely. Not only that, but it even erupted with a powerful force, and the wind that was rolled up directly spread to the surroundings continuously. Advertisement. The sand laid down by Gaara before was blown directly into the distance. Gaara frowned slightly. Looks like I still underestimated you, Naruto. But I'm not that easy to deal with. As soon as the words fell, he knocked his hands directly on the ground. The ground seemed to be constantly shaking and collapsing. At this moment, two huge arms rushed out from the ground and grabbed Uzumaki Naruto. Damn it! Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth, constantly resisting the giant arm manipulated by Gaara. If this fight continues, the place will probably be destroyed directly. Kakashi frowned. The last time this happened was when Xiao Li was fighting Gaara. This guy is really hard to deal with. And Gaara looked at Naruto and snorted coldly, I will directly grind the underground stones into sand, and then this will be my home field, but you are just a kitten trapped in the quicksand. Obviously, he still has sufficient confidence in his own strength. But he didn't expect that he had already underestimated the current Uzumaki Naruto. I'm not that weak. Uzumaki Naruto hands mudra, gathering the chakra in the body, multiple shadow clone technique. Boom. I saw dozens of clones rushing directly from Uzumaki Naruto. Each clone has a scarlet tail beast chakra. There was a loud bang, and the huge arm that rushed out of the ground was directly scattered by the shock. Advertisement. This is Konoha village, my territory. Because I'm going to be Hokage. Naruto wiped off the dust from the corner of his mouth and smiled sternly. The chakra emanating from dozens of clones directly turned into a huge carpet, even covering half of the battlefield. And now Naruto is stepping on the tail beast chakra with both feet. Is there still this ability? Gaara didn't expect that the opponent would use the tail beast chakra to such an extent. Facing the chakra that was still spreading, Gaara hurriedly backed away. After all, if you get a little contaminated, maybe you will fall into a place of eternal doom. It seems that I can no longer hide my strength. Gaara snorted coldly, and slammed her hands together. Not only that, the chakra in his body is also being consumed rapidly, as if some powerful ninjutsu is brewing. I saw that the ground was shaking slowly, and at the same time, several dirt bags were constantly bulging up. It seems to break through the tail beast chakra covering it. Sasuke in the stands looked at Naruto also a little surprised. Using the tail beast chakra to cover the ground blocks the connection between Gaara and the ground, but this may consume a lot of chakra. 0. Ask for flowers. Ye Shenyue looked at the tail beast chakra that covered most of the field, and couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat from his forehead. What nonsense, it could have been used for 10 minutes, but now it's all right, there are only 10 minutes left. And now Naruto also knows that the tail beast chakra in his body is being consumed rapidly. If it runs out now, the opponent will not give himself a few hours to recover the tail beast chakra. Advertisement. We must get rid of you. You damn guy. Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth, and his figure turned into a scarlet lightning. In just a split second, he rushed in front of Gaara. Point 0. Gaara looked at Uzumaki Naruto in front of him, without a trace of fear. His expression gradually became distorted, his lips smiled, and said to Naruto, it seems that you, like me, have that monster in your body. Afterwards, the pattern of guarding the crane slowly emerged on his body, but it was only fleeting. It seems that Gaara does not want to use the power of guarding the crane now. As a Jinchuriki, don't you feel lonely in hatred? Naruto was taken aback for a moment, and the fist that was about to strike also stopped in midair. The sand behind it rushed out of the tailed beast's coat, forming a huge palm like a towering tree. Covering the sky and blocking out the sun, the shadow seemed to cover the entire duel arena. And Naruto's feet also became darker. But Naruto smiled triumphantly. As Jinchuriki, my boss taught me how to master such power, and I can rely on this power to defeat that nasty guy Sasuke. Why hate? Gaara was taken aback for a moment, and a trace of shock flashed in his eyes. How is it possible? It's clearly a Jinchuriki. Before Gaara finished speaking, Naruto wrapped the huge arm of the tail beast chakra, and slammed on Gaara's chest. Boom. A loud bang. Directly smashed the sand and sand armor of Gaara's body. And Gaara also spewed out a blood arrow from his mouth, and his figure flew back wildly. 095 Rasengan's power. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Immediately, there was no sound in the arena. Gaara was lying on the ground, panting heavily, her eyes full of disbelief. He was still immersed in Naruto's words just now, but he didn't care about his body. How is it possible that it will hurt me? Looking at the blood left on her body, Gaara also fell silent. Phew, Gaara, I said I would beat you. Naruto sneered. At this moment, the tailed beast coat on Naruto's body suddenly disappeared. Has Naruto's tailed beast chakra run out? Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly, then how should he face Gaara's attack on you next? Gaara stood up slowly, watching Naruto's tailed beast chakra disappear, and also showed a sinister smile. Have you run out of tailed beast chakra? 893, Naruto, you are the one who is dead now. Naruto lost the function of the tail beast chakra, and his feet slowly landed on the ground. He also looked at his body in surprise. Too bad, the tailed beast chakra ran out so quickly. Naruto felt a little flustered. Kakashi looked at Naruto, frowning. The tailed beast chakra was able to suppress Gaara before, but looking at it now, it seems that Naruto himself is in danger. And Naruto is not only exhausted of his tail beast chakra, but even his own chakra is not much left. Compared with Gaara, who is seriously injured now, perhaps Naruto still has a little advantage. Advertisement. If you want to defeat me, you are still a little short. Gaara's eyes gradually became vicious, and even the icy coldness in them almost made people shudder. That look, Naruto was also a little shocked. He seemed to feel for a moment that Gaara definitely wanted to kill himself. In an instant, an arm formed of sand stretched out from the ground, directly restraining Naruto in place. What? No matter how hard Naruto struggled, it was difficult to get out of the restraint. Oops. But at this moment, Gaara sneered and made a mutter with both hands. Just letting you die like this is simply too cheap for you. As soon as the words fell, countless sand and dust on the ground instantly condensed together, continuously climbing up from Naruto's lower body. Want to tie me up with sand? Naruto gritted his teeth hard. Of course he wouldn't let Gaara succeed like this. If you want to beat me by this method, then you really underestimate J. As soon as the voice fell, he directly used the shadow clone technique. Bang! Several clones immediately appeared in place, and the next moment, a blue chakra ball appeared in Naruto's hand. This is Rasengan. Kakashi's eyes flickered in disbelief. How is it possible? Who taught him? Even Sarutobi Hiruzen was very curious. Looking at Naruto, he couldn't help but marvel. When did you learn Rasengan? Even I don't know. Could it be that he learned it this month? Then who taught him? But Kakashi still grasped the point. Rasengan can only fight in close quarters. Even if you use Rasengan from such a long distance, it is difficult to hurt Gaara. But Naruto smiled confidently, and said, Gaara, this is a move I practiced for a long time, you're doomed. But Gaara snorted coldly, you can't connect to me now, and you still want to kill me. Then, with a big wave of his hand, a barrier of sand was erected in front of him again. Advertisement. Even if you get close to me, it's hard to injure me. You should know this kind of thing. A guy who can't even break through my defense, what strength is there? Gaara still seems to think that the current Naruto is simply vulnerable. Seeing this, Naruto waved his hand and grabbed the avatar holding Rasengan in his hand, then gritted his teeth, and was thrown out of the doctor because of the accident. Rasengan. The avatar yelled loudly, and slammed Rasengan hard, hitting the sand barrier in front of Gaara. How is it possible? Gaara's eyes widened immediately, as if he still couldn't believe that this Naruto still had such power. Bang bang, immediately resounded through the sky. After countless smoke and dust surged, Rasengan easily penetrated the sand barrier, and even smashed on Gaara's chest. Blood spurted out of Gaara's mouth, and he flew upside down in an instant, lying on the ground, twitching all over. Continuous blood dripped from his body. Afterwards, the sand controlled by Gaara also gradually disappeared. Is it over? Naruto's eyes widened with doubts on his face. He is still not sure whether the battle is over. However, he saw a pair of fierce eyes staring at Naruto in the smoke and dust. Impossible. I will not be defeated by you. The sand slowly wrapped Gaara's body, leaving only the eye of sand outside. And Gaara is hiding alone in a huge orb. What? Naruto's eyes widened. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Advertisement. Seeing this huge ball, Temari and Kankuro stood up immediately. Oops, it's this ninjutsu. He actually advocated. And Baki, Gaara's teacher, also frowned. Prepare without waiting for the signal. What is this guy trying to do? Damn it. Don't think I can't defeat you by hiding in it. Naruto leapt high and punched the barrier surrounding Gaara with his fist. Bang. I saw a trace of blood dripping from Naruto's fist, but Gaara's barrier was only trembling slightly. I used all the sand for defense. I didn't expect the sand of this density to be so hard. Sasuke realized the importance of the matter in an instant. The current Naruto could not defeat the current Gaara by relying on pure physical skills alone. Don't worry. Don't worry. 2.6. Ye Shenyue didn't panic at all, but kept staring in Orochimaru's direction. Now that Naruto has forced Gaara to the current point, I am afraid that the plan will also deviate from Orochimaru's plan. But Orochimaru only wanted Sasuke, and these things didn't have much impact on him. Damn, since fists can't open your shell, I'll use Rasengan. Naruto summoned the shadow clone again, and saw that chakra gradually gathered in Naruto's hands, and then he gave a loud shout, and slammed a Rasengan hard on the barrier. Boom. Dust and smoke everywhere. Countless chakra rolls are mixed with air currents, oscillating in this ball. The air wave was mixed with sand and dust, directly penetrated the ball, and exploded a huge hole behind the ball. Chapter 096 Case Cage. I have a showdown, I am Orochimaru. Open black lens bracket and update. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Call. Naruto clenched his teeth, and withdrew his fist from the hole. Although there is only a small hole in the front of the ball, the hole in the back occupies almost half of it. Dead. Sasuke was surprised. This Naruto's Rasengan seems to be as powerful as my Chidori. Naruto was panting heavily. His face was full of exhaustion, staring at Gaara, worried about his every move. Sizzle. The sand on Gaara's body slowly flowed onto the ground, and at this moment, Gaara was half kneeling on the ground, covered in blood. Baki looked at Gaara, and there was a trace of fear in his eyes. If Gaara was interrupted or even injured in this state, he would be backlashed by side effects. Have you stopped? It seems that it is still difficult to attack Konoha with Shuzuru. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly. Although he had the ability to stop Gaara from the beginning, he was still too lazy to do so. He felt that it was more interesting to take his time. What's wrong with this guy? Uzumaki Naruto was puzzled. Gaara hugged herself tightly, as if she was in great pain. At this time, an Anbu ninja slowly formed a seal. Countless feathers fluttered down from the sky. Almost everyone present fell into a deep sleep in an instant. Even Uzumaki Naruto is a bit dazed and shaky. And Sasuke has the Sharingan, which is also opened in an instant, and the 3-hook jade bounces off the illusion attack. Kakashi and the other Jonin also solved the illusion immediately. What happened? Advertisement. Kakashi was a little surprised. At this moment, he saw countless sound ninjas rushing out and attacking everyone. And the 2 rock shinobi also caught Sarutobi Hiruzen directly at the first time. Even Orochimaru had Sarutobi Hiruzen's throat locked from behind. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen seems to have seen through Orochimaru's identity. He frowned slightly, and said, Master Cage, it seems that our relationship does not need to be so tense. We rock shinobi and Konoha can negotiate well. And Orochimaru's cold voice also reached Sarutobi Hiruzen's ears. Mr. Sarutobi, it seems that you are still old. After all, he directly tore off his human skin mask, revealing the incomparably dull skin underneath. It really is you, Sarutobi Hiruzen said slowly. At this moment, Ye Shenyue looked at Sasuke, took a deep breath, and said, let's go help third Hokage. If the current self does not help third Hokage, then Sarutobi Hiruzen will definitely die here. But relying on our strength, Sasuke still seemed to be a little entangled, because he was also afraid of Orochimaru's power. Even his heavenly seal was given by Orochimaru. It is precisely because of this that Sasuke is very afraid of Orochimaru. Idiot. Naruto has exhausted his current tail beast chakra. If I expand the seal and let Naruto enter the state of 4 tails, he will definitely be uncontrollable. If Naruto enters 4 tails, with the current Naruto, he will definitely go berserk. So it will still take a lot of effort to calm down Naruto, and Naruto's body is also very serious now. Understood. Sasuke nodded, then followed Ye Shenyue, appearing directly in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Orochimaru. Orochimaru looked at these 2 people, also very excited. Sasuke, are you here? How about it? Isn't the parting gift I gave you a surprise? Orochimaru chuckled. Advertisement. And Sasuke gritted his teeth. Orochimaru. No matter what, I won't let you do anything to Konoha. At this moment, there was a loud noise in the distance. I saw a huge python with 8 heads directly broke through Konoha's wall and began to attack Konoha's people. What's going on? Sasuke hurriedly looked into the distance. At this moment, countless ninjas went to support the wall. This time, Konoha seemed to be plunged into absolute chaos. Sasuke, it's okay, I know you will definitely come to my side, because you are my chosen one. Orochimaru sneered, and jumped directly to the roof with Sarutobi Hiruzen in his arms. Then the 4 figures also rushed directly to the roof. It's the Otonin 4. We must hurry up, otherwise, we will not be able to support third Hokage after opening the barrier. Ye Shenyue didn't dare to hesitate, and directly took Sasuke to the roof with Orochimaru. At the last moment, the 4 Yinrin also stood in the 4 corners and shouted. Ninja 4 Purple Flame Formation. As soon as the words fell, the result of purple suddenly rose. Oops, Lord Hokage is in there too. A ninja rushed towards the 4 Purple Flame Formation, but was directly bounced away. Flames were burning all over his body, and his voice was cut off for a moment. Is it an enchantment? It's really tricky. A ninja gritted his teeth and said. On the battlefield. Advertisement. Baki, Kankuro and others hurriedly stood by Gaara's side to check Gaara's situation. This guy, who was interrupted while in the shell, was backlashed by side effects. Tamari hastily pulled Gaara back. This guy, he's arbitrarily claiming it. Now the plan is all messed up. Kankuro complained. But Baki shook his head and said, perhaps, this is not what we originally expected. He did not expect that this 4th cage turned out to be Orochimaru disguised as 060. If this is the case, even they can't figure out what the situation is now. And Shiranui Genma looked at them, narrowing his eyes slightly. Are you sent by Orochimaru? It's really interesting. Baki smiled coldly. I don't know, but we don't mind making the scene even more chaotic. Uzumaki Naruto on the side let out a long breath, and then asked, Teacher. What's going on? The Chunin exam is over. Shiranui Genma gritted his teeth and said. Seeing Tamari leaving the duel venue with Gaara in his arms, he also looked at Uzumaki Naruto. Now is Konoha's ninja, why not do something useful to Konoha? Go hunt Gaara. Huh, just me. Uzumaki Naruto pointed at himself, seemingly surprised. But in the end he sighed and chased after Tamari. And on the roof, Orochimaru held Sarutobi Hiruzen hostage, kunai pressed against his throat. But he kept looking straight ahead. I saw Ye Shenyue and Sasuke standing in front of them with fighting spirit on their faces. I didn't expect it. It seems to be an extra problem, but all of this is not the slightest problem for me. Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Sasuke with joy on his face. Next, I will make you surrender to me wholeheartedly. Chapter 097 Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sasuke looked disdainful. He looked at Orochimaru with only contempt in his eyes. Do you think you can really give me real power? The so-called curse seal you gave me is just a seed, and whether it can grow into a towering tree in the end depends on me alone. Afterwards, he took a half step forward, bent slightly, took out kunai, and put on a fighting posture. Orochimaru, if defeating Itachi is my goal, then defeating you is the proof of my strength. And Orochimaru chuckled, looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen who was locked by him, and just said lightly, look, is this the ninja of Konoha now? It's really rebellious enough, even I don't recognize it. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Sasuke and Ye Shenyue, with a trace of anxiety in his eyes. Get out of here quickly, this Orochimaru is not something you can deal with now. Oh, Ye Shenyue narrowed her eyes slightly, really? As soon as the words fell, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly broke free from Orochimaru's comfort, and took off the coat on his body. I saw that under the cloak was a clean and neat battle attire. It seemed that Sarutobi Hiruzen had already guessed that there would definitely be a fierce battle to be fought today. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly. Orochimaru, we spared your life in the forest of death before, but now if you lay here obediently and capture you without a fight, maybe we can discuss it and spare your life again. Ahem. Sasuke smiled awkwardly. In the forest of death, it seems that we really can't beat Orochimaru. Shut up. Ye Shenyue gave him a blank look, then looked at Orochimaru and smiled coldly. Mr. Orochimaru, come and show me what you are capable of. Oh, I'm sorry, I just wanted to catch up with my teacher. Now it seems that I can only bring you a few little devils. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly, as if he was very disdainful of them. Then let me see you. What kind of patience do you have? Don't make trouble. Get back quickly. Sarutobi Hiruzen still couldn't believe the strength of the two of them, and directly stopped in front of them, forming seals with both hands. Advertisement. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique, open corner bracket. I saw a shuriken rushing out of Sarutobi Hiruzen's hand, and then directly evolved into a Senju shuriken in midair. For a moment, it seemed that there were thousands of Senju swords blasting towards Orochimaru from all directions. Summoning technique. At this moment, Orochimaru also made mudras with both hands, and then pressed his palms directly on the ground. Next, I saw two coffins rising directly from the ground. Dang 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 dang. A series of voices sounded, and the two coffins directly blocked all the shurikens. And seeing the coffin, Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to see something. Could it be, this is impure world reincarnation? I saw the words, first, and, two, written on it, which made Sarutobi Hiruzen understand the seriousness of the matter. This guy even learned that forbidden technique. Next, I saw the ground cracking slowly, and the third coffin continued to rise. Since it's to stop the coffin, right? Sasuke stood in front of him, eager to show himself right away. Orochimaru, I'll show you how good I am. I saw Sasuke quickly formed a seal, then gathered chakra at the throat, and shot it out directly. Fire-style dragon fire technique. A huge pillar of fire turned into a straight line and rushed towards the third coffin. Advertisement. It's just that fire style, maybe it's still difficult. Orochimaru just wanted to say a harsh word, but his eyes tightened. I saw that the third coffin was only halfway up, but it didn't move at all. Then he was slammed on the coffin by dragon fire technique. Boom. The coffin shook 3 times immediately, and then retreated to the ground. TCH, even if there are only 2, it is enough to deal with you. Orochimaru looked at the 3 people in front of him with a relaxed expression. This reanimation jutsu is a forbidden technique that summons the souls of the dead from the pure land of the underworld to the dirty land of reality. It is enough to deal with you. Sasuke looked shocked. What do you mean? Could it be that this ninjutsu can summon the dead? Then who are the 2 people in the coffin? Right now, the coffin boards burst open. 2 figures stood in the coffin. They are all housekeepers from the Sengoku era, with cracks all over their bodies, and it seems that fine dust can still be seen floating in midair. It is Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama. First Hokage and second Hokage were successfully revived. It's really interesting. This is the first time I saw these 2 old men. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly. Senju Tobarama glanced in front of him, looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, Sarutobi, long time no see. Advertisement. Even Senju Hashirama recognized Sarutobi and said, it's you Sarutobi, you're old. But they still didn't seem to understand the current situation. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath and said to them with a solemn face. I didn't expect to meet you again at this time, but I still hope that you can make up your mind. Shodai, Nadaime. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's name, Sasuke's eyes would widen, and he said in surprise, could it be that the dead he summoned are the dead lord's first Hokage and second Hokage? Is this something we can deal with? Sasuke's pupils trembled, and he still can't believe everything in front of him. And Ye Shenyue ignored Sasuke, and directly talked to Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama. Yes, you were brought out by the Orochimaru impure world reincarnation behind you, it seems that we have to fight. Senju Tobarama slowly turned his head to look at Orochimaru and said, is it you who summoned me with my forbidden technique? Such a young man, what a feat. Then, he looked at Sasuke again, squinting his eyes slightly. You look very much like a person. Dekianjiao, are you the blood of Uchiha? Sasuke was taken aback for a moment, then his expression was serious. Nadaime, whether I am Uchiha's blood or not, we must fight now. That's right. Ye Shenyue pointed at Orochimaru and smiled faintly. We are 3 against 3, it's fair, isn't it? Sasuke was taken aback when he heard this, and turned his head stiffly to look at Ye Shenyue. It's fair. I think these 2 seniors can deal with us. And Orochimaru took out 2 kunai engraved with charms and inserted them directly into the back of the head of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama. Puff. The spell didn't even enter. He made seals with his hands, looked at the 3 people in front of him, and said, before you do anything, it's better to let you see the previous appearance of these 2 adults. The rifts on Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama are rapidly healing. And their eyes gradually became empty. 098 It's time for the young ones. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hashirama and Tobarama looked up slowly, only to see that most of the cracks on their bodies had disappeared. It looks literally lifelike. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but marvel. They look almost the same as before. Seeing the appearance of Hashirama and Tobirama, even Orochimaru couldn't help but smile. Hey, it's done, and can you understand the sense of accomplishment and joy of hurting your past teacher? Ye Shenyue couldn't help digging his ears. Can you please stop talking nonsense and fight as soon as you want? You can't even beat Sasuke. Why let Sasuke run away with you? It's sick. Orochimaru couldn't help but look gloomy, looked at Ye Shenyue, and snorted coldly. It seems that you still don't cry when you see the coffin. The first person I kill is you. As soon as the words fell, Sasuke first made seals with both hands, and shouted, fire style. Great fireball technique. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled, fire style fire dragon flame bullet. I saw a huge fire dragon and a huge fireball directly merge together, bringing a sea of flames, attacking Orochimaru with a posture that could almost burn everything. As the fire dragon roared, the sky was filled with heat, and the surrounding mighty sea of flames rolled up, which looked extremely terrifying. And Tobirama just formed a mudra with one hand and said softly, water style water barrier. A stream of water spread from under his feet, directly enveloping the three of them in 990. A huge wall of water directly blocked the Huolongyan bomb. Advertisement. And the fire dragon roared into the water wall with the sea of fire, and only heard the sound of flames burning and evaporating. Rows of steam and white mist swept across the sky. But at this moment, a golden light shot out from a tricky angle at an extremely fast speed. The white mist was immediately shattered. With a bang, the water barrier was broken. Even Tobirama's chest was pierced with a huge gash. Tobirama was shocked, his body backed up slightly, and he staggered a few steps. What? Orochimaru looked at Ye Shenyue in disbelief. Your blood successor boundary can break through Tobirama's water style. How is that possible? Why is it impossible? Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. It's not the real Tobirama standing here now. Based on your current research on impure world reincarnation, if you can make them use 1/10 of their power, you are already grateful. Do you really think we will be afraid of you? Seeing the wound on Tobirama's chest continue to heal, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes were full of surprise. It's just a genin's ninjutsu, but it has such power. It seems that I have always underestimated you. Ye Shenyue. Even Sasuke's eyes were full of surprise. He gasped, Ye Shenyue. Is this really your power? He clenched his fist tightly. He never thought before that the gap between himself and Ye Shenyue was so terrifying. Water style. Water dragon bomb. Even though Tobirama's wound hadn't completely healed, after barely making a few seals with one hand, Leon's majestic water dragon suddenly blasted out from behind him. The huge water dragon roared, hovered in the four purple flame formations, and at the same time suddenly fell towards Sarutobi Hiruzen. Obviously, Orochimaru's target now is Sarutobi Hiruzen himself. Advertisement. Earth style. Earth flow wall. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't dare to be too careless, and hastily used the water style used by the earth flow wall to resist Tobirama. A huge earthen wall rose from the ground, and the water dragon bomb mercilessly stared at him, blasting him to pieces. When the smoke and dust were stirring and everyone couldn't see anything in front of them clearly, Hashirama, who had not moved all this time, also moved. Wood-style birth of the tree realm. Hashirama clasped his hands together, the ground burst open, and countless thick trees grew up. I saw that the originally empty roof suddenly turned into a forest. Too bad, this is the wood style that only Shodai can use. It was also used by Orochimaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes widened, as if he understood how terrifying this move was. Countless trees directly tied Sarutobi Hiruzen's body, as if they wanted to trap him directly to death here. Summoning technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen hastily ACFG, bit his thumb and pressed it against the tree. With a bang, the Monkey King stood beside Sarutobi Hiruzen. When the Ape Demon King saw Orochimaru standing below, he also looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen helplessly, with a trace of annoyance in his eyes. It really is Orochimaru. Things have become like this, and it is hard to compare with the fact that you didn't want to kill him back then. Get away with it, Sorrow. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't say much, just ordered the Ape Demon King, do it. The Ape Demon King instantly turned into a huge stick, held in Sarutobi Hiruzen's hand, directly swept away all the surrounding trees, and escaped with his body. It's just that a trace of sweat appeared on Sarutobi Hiruzen's face, and this series of battles had exhausted him a lot. Orochimaru looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and squinted his eyes slightly. Mr. Sarutobi, it seems that you are indeed old, and will your Ape Demon King be able to take over my Kusanagi sword? Advertisement. He opened his mouth wide, only to see a boa constrictor drilled out of the bloody mouth, and a long sword was drawn out directly from the boa constrictor's mouth. The Kusanagi sword. The Ape Demon King was very surprised, even I can't resist the Kusanagi sword. And Sarutobi Hiruzen pondered for a moment, his face also extremely dignified. He doesn't even have much chakra using Shadow Clone now. But looking at Sasuke and Naruto standing in the formation of four purple flames, he also understands that his time is not as much as he imagined. After all, there are two genin here. Damn it, it's going to be FKed. Sarutobi Hiruzen gritted his teeth and rushed directly to Orochimaru. Bang! Hashirama stomped hard on Sarutobi Hiruzen's chest, and Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly flew backwards. It hit a thick tree behind him, and was tightly bound by the tree, unable to struggle. You didn't use the Shadow Clone to test it out, and came up to fight directly. Could it be that you don't even have the chakra of the Shadow Clone? Orochimaru looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen with a playful face. It's really sad, as a person who knows all the existing ninjutsu of Konoha Professor Ninja, he has aged like this, what a time. Quote. And Sarutobi Hiruzen also had a face full of fear, and now he didn't even have the strength to pick up the golden cudgel. Things turned out to be like this. Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes slightly. Now Orochimaru's threat to Konoha is really terrible. For Konoha, I can only use 4th Hokage's move. He was about to move his body when he saw two figures suddenly appear in front of him. I saw the curse marks on Sasuke's body all over the body, and the Scarlet Sengoku stared at Orochimaru. The old man's story is finished, now it's our turn. Chapter 099 Fierce Battle. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Orochimaru looked at Sasuke who was talking to him, and seemed a little surprised. Sasuke, I don't think we should be enemies, because I can give you what you want, you're just an avenger. Orochimaru smiled coldly, reaching out his hand as if trying to win Sasuke over. Bah, Sasuke spat, I will definitely defeat Uchiha Itachi, but when the time comes, I will choose to rely on my strength instead of you disgusting guy. Orochimaru seemed surprised by Sasuke's answer, but he still smiled confidently and said, in this case, I can only show you what is the real power. Stop talking nonsense. Ye Shenyue narrowed her eyes slightly. He suddenly turned into a flash of light, and then his legs gathered light, sweeping towards Orochimaru viciously. It's so fast. Orochimaru also seemed surprised, and directly manipulated Hashirama to stand in front of him. Bang! Hashirama's body instantly fell apart, and Orochimaru was also directly blasted away by a terrifying force. With a bang, after rolling several laps on the ground, when he saw Senju Hashirama slowly recovering on the ground, he couldn't believe it for a moment. How is it possible? You are just a genin. Why do you have such strength? Orochimaru gasped, with a serious expression on his face. And at this time, he actually saw Sasuke seems to have disappeared. Sasuke. Orochimaru's pupils immediately shrank to the tip of a needle. It was impossible for Sasuke to escape easily in the four purple flame formations. And when he looked up, he saw Sasuke floating above him. And now Sasuke has even opened the second form of the curse seal. Advertisement. The two huge wings on the back trembled slightly, and the skin all over his body also turned gray, with a cross-shaped pattern on his face. He actually reached the second form of the curse seal without me. Orochimaru's eyes showed pervert fiery, it is indeed my chosen one. If you let me get it, I will definitely give it to you the power to avenge Uchiha Itachi. Unexpectedly, Sasuke just sneered, as if he didn't want to pay attention to Orochimaru at all. He made seals with his hands, and immediately saw a thunderbolt gathering in his hands. The thunder and lightning looked extremely terrifying, as if 1,000 birds were singing together for a moment. Its powerful destructive power could be seen at a glance. Chidori. Sarutobi Hiruzen was also a little surprised. I didn't expect that in just 1 month, Kakashi let Sasuke understand Chidori. It is indeed the blood of the Uchiha family. This kind of talent, even among the whole Konoha genin, I am afraid that no one can match it. And Ye Shenyue folded his arms and looked at Sasuke, shaking his head helplessly. It still feels a bit worse, but it's already pretty good now, at least I can do 2 tricks with me. And Sasuke's Sharingan stared at Orochimaru firmly, and at this moment, he was already ready to kill. Since you left this ghost thing on me, you should be enlightened. Orochimaru, now I will show you how you died by my hands. Sasuke let out a loud cry, killing intent bloomed in his eyes. At this moment, his strength seemed to climb to a new level in an instant. Everything around him seemed to be distorting constantly. He turned into an afterimage and fell hard in the midair. At the same time, he raised the Chidori with the black lightning flashing in his hand. Infused with the power of the seal, Chidori's lethality becomes even stronger. Chidori, who fell in midair and stabbed fiercely at his opponent, looked like a falcon that had taken a fancy to its prey. It seems that I underestimated you. Sasuke, you are more interesting than I imagined. Orochimaru's expression also became distorted. Now that Senju Hashirama has not healed himself, the only power Orochimaru can use now is himself and Senju Tobirama. It's so interesting. Orochimaru made a mudra with one hand. Advertisement. Hiding shadows with many snake hands. Dozens of huge pythons appeared in his arms, rushing towards Sasuke. At the same time, Senju Tobirama also formed the mudra with both hands, and the mighty chakra spread out immediately. Looking at chakra on Senju Tobirama, Ye Shenyue was also a little surprised. I didn't expect that chakra would be so amazing even in this situation, it's really weird. Water-style water dragon bomb. A huge water dragon entangled dozens of pythons summoned by the latent shadow multi-snake hand, and directly bombarded Sasuke. And Sasuke didn't have the slightest fear in his eyes. He swooped down from the sky, and at the same time, thousands of birds roared. 0. Ask for flowers. Oh. Come on, Sasuke. Show me how much potential you have. Orochimaru's voice became a little trembling. The water dragon entangles the boa constrictor and rushes towards the sky, and Sasuke also drives the black Chidori to dive and fall. Eagles and snakes fighting. I saw Sasuke let out a yell, and the chakra on his body was urged to ultimate, and in an instant, countless thunders wrapped around his body. 1,000 birds. But it doesn't seem to be complete enough. Ye Shenyue narrowed her eyes slightly. In order to allow his Chidori to counter the opponent's terrorist attack, Sasuke even used the power of the curse seal to urge chakra to change its shape. It's just that the current appearance seems to be bluffing, but it is estimated that it is not as powerful as the real Chidori style. 0. Even so, this enhanced Chidori is still so powerful. I saw Black's Chidori split the water dragon in an instant, and countless snake heads flew out. Advertisement. Dozens of pythons summoned by Orochimaru were chopped into pieces and turned into blood mist. And Orochimaru's eyes also showed a trace of fire. Very good. Sasuke, let me see how much power you have. The moment the python was chopped into pieces, Orochimaru also bit his finger and pressed it to the ground. Summoning technique. Triple Rashomon. Boom. 3 huge Rashomons were suddenly summoned. This Rashomon, which can absorb almost all attacks, is also extremely powerful in Sasuke's eyes. Even the huge Rashomon directly shattered the tree world birth and even the 4 purple flames behind it. At this moment, a huge hole was blasted out from the back of the 4 purple flame formation. And the eyes of the Otonin 4 people also flashed a trace of surprise. The 4 purple flame formations can only be broken from inside, and Orochimaru himself used the triple Rashomon to directly break through the 4 purple flame formations. And Black's Chidori is also at this moment inserted on the Rashomon. Countless thunderbolts flickered, but only a few scratches were left on Rashomon. What? Sasuke had never seen such a situation. Boom. Loud. Sasuke's whole body directly hit Rashomon. The entire roof seemed to be shaking endlessly. 9. Chapter 100. I'm going to beat you up. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ahem. Sasuke lay on the Rashomon, coughing continuously from the dust. At the same time, there was a trace of fear in his eyes. He never thought that Orochimaru had such strength before. How is it possible? How could Orochimaru have such a strong strength? Sasuke was sore all over. If he didn't have the curse mark, he might have been thrown out by Rashomon. And Orochimaru standing behind the Rashomon also had a proud face. Sasuke, it seems that it is still impossible for you to defeat me. Even my Rashomon can't be broken. What else do you have to control? Above me. Afterwards, his eyes also became playful, and he stared at Sasuke firmly, as if he was looking at a prey. Sasuke, have you seen my power? If you get my power, wanting to defeat 253, Uchiha Itachi is just for fun. Ye Shenyue on the side jumped onto the Rashomon, looked at Orochimaru on the opposite side and shook his head helplessly. You say that, as if you can defeat Uchiha Itachi, but in fact, you may not even be able to withstand Uchiha Itachi's illusion. Hearing these words, Orochimaru's face became ugly. After a while, he took a deep breath. Summoning a triple Rashomon requires a lot of chakra. Even first Hokage can only summon a 5th Rashomon at most. It can be said that, apart from first Hokage, there is now a ninja who can summon from Rashomon. But his current chakra is also running low. But Orochimaru looked at Ye Shenyue confidently, and said slowly, the remaining chakra, it is enough to solve you. You talkative guy. Advertisement. At this moment, there was a loud bang. Click. Sarutobi Hiruzen broke free from Wood-Style's shackles, and stood in front of Orochimaru with the golden cudgel in his hand. His eyes are still full of fighting spirit, although he is old now, and his strength has not caught up with his peak moment, but he still will not allow Orochimaru to run amok here. Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen, Orochimaru's expression became serious. At this time, the 4 Otonin also appeared behind him. Tayuya said in a low voice, the Rashomon defeated the 4 purple flame formation just now, and it is estimated that Jonin from Konoha will come to support him soon. Master Orochimaru, what should we do now? Looking at the ninjas who kept approaching all around, a trace of unwillingness appeared on Yinji's face. He looked at Sasuke and sighed, Sasuke, one day you will surrender to me, although not now, but I believe that day may not be far away. As soon as the words fell, Orochimaru formed a mudra with his hands and summoned 2 coffins. And Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama's complexion also became gloomy, and they lay down in the coffin again. As the coffin sank to the ground, Orochimaru also sneered, now let me show you the parting gift I left for Konoha. After finishing speaking, he suddenly shouted and said, summoning technique. A huge python instantly appeared on the roof. Advertisement. Its huge body even almost crushed the entire roof. Everyone's attention was on the boa constrictor at this time, and taking advantage of this time, Orochimaru also left here with the Otonin 4. Damn Orochimaru. After leaving, he will leave behind such a disaster. A trace of fear appeared in Sasuke's eyes. Ye Shenyue nodded slightly. Now Naruto is chasing Gaara. There should be a lot of rock shinobi along the way. Now let's go support Naruto. Sasuke was taken aback. Then what should we do with the big python in front of us? Give it to me. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood in front of the 2 of them with a look of admiration on his face. I have always been reluctant to admit that I am old, but now I finally understand that the inheritance of the will of fire needs new blood, and your strength has been recognized by me, Hokage. A trace of gloom flashed in Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes. I used to make a lot of mistakes because of this village. When I was restrained by Orochimaru just now, I might have thought about it too. I'm old and no longer this position is suitable for Hokage, and I will choose 5th Hokage to take over my position later. As for me, an old man, it is time to retire. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice, Ye Shenyue just said, since this is your idea, we will naturally not object. I will leave this python to you, and we will go to support Naruto first. As soon as the words fell, Ye Shenyue and Sasuke disappeared in the same place in an instant, and they continued to move towards Naruto at full speed. Outside Konoha village, Kankuro and Temari kept running away holding Gaara. And Naruto is also chasing after him. Advertisement. You guys, how dare you attack Konoha village? I, Uzumaki Naruto, will not forgive you. Uzumaki Naruto yelled at Gaara and the others as he shuttled back and forth among the trees. Damn it, this guy is really tough. Temari, I'll stop him first. Kankuro suggested, and then looked at Uzumaki Naruto behind him with dissatisfaction. Temari was taken aback, recalled the scene when he fought Gaara, and said worriedly, Kankuro. Be safe. Kankuro nodded slightly, then stopped in his tracks. Seeing Kankuro stop, Uzumaki Naruto was taken aback, then pointed to Kankuro and said, you purple-faced monster. Don't block my way. HMPH. Kankuro looked at Uzumaki Naruto from the country. When we first met, you were just a kid in my eyes. Now it seems that you are not that simple, but if you want to chase Gaara, I can only say that this is impossible. Damn it. My 9 tails chakra was almost ready to use, but this guy stopped me in 2.2. Uzumaki Naruto looked dissatisfied, and looked at Gaara, who was drifting away, with a look of annoyance. At this time, 2 figures appeared from Uzumaki Naruto's side. Uchiha Sasuke and Ye Shenyue appeared beside him. Ye Shenyue looks at Uzumaki Naruto, this guy is in your hands. Sasuke and I go after Gaara. Boss, can you do it? I'll beat this nasty guy right away and go support you. Ye Shenyue didn't say much, just nodded slightly and then disappeared in place. Kankuro looked at Ye Shenyue behind him with an expression of unwillingness. This guy. If you want to die, I will help you. And Uzumaki Naruto smiled confidently, pointed to Kankuro and said, next I will beat you up.